All right, let me try it.
Okay. Well, we're live here officially. Guys, welcome to this live stream recording on YouTube of a new episode of the High Stakes PLO podcast. I'm joining everyone. We are joined by my
It's a
friend,
little
Brian
bit better.
Hastings.
How's it
Brian, how are
going,
you doing
Joey?
today?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Now you look like so Brian's trying to get his lighting going on his webcam here, and he looks like he is on a white screen on wait, let me at least talk again. So on the Google Hangout, it's when I speak it shows me, when you speak it shows you.
hmm
So yeah, you look okay. That looks weird now. All right, whatever, let's just go with this. So Brian,
I, I I just see you the whole time in the middle. I mean, I see me down in the little corner, but otherwise I just see you.
yeah, I don't know how this works. I gotta be honest, I'm still a noob at this whole Google Hangout, Google live stream thing.
You'll be a
But
Google Hangout pro in no time. I
I
have
don't
faith.
I don't. It took me 4 months to put my podcast on iTunes. Oh yeah, officially my podcasts are on iTunes. By the way, the link will be in the description of the podcast, or you can search Chicago Joey, all one word, Chicago Joey. They'll come up. You can subscribe, get them automatically on there, and I'll upload the live streams to iTunes when I do them. And I don't think I need to say anything else. But Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Now, I'm just gonna, for the people, there might be people watching this who, this is weird, but they might not know who you are. They might not know that you play poker. They might not know much. So I'm just gonna tell the people a little bit about you, and you can confirm or deny anything I say about you. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So Brian's been playing online poker for many, many, many years now. He started back when he was a young pup, and going to. This actually might not be true. It might be in high school, but it might have started when you were going to Cornell, which is a Ivy League school here in the United States, and you were have been playing some of the highest stakes on the internet for years and years. You had the officially most epic online poker session when you won $4.2 million in one session against the infamous Isildur1. And that's actually the focus of the hands that we're going to be going over on this week's podcast. After that, I don't know. I mean, I've known you for a couple years now. So my story kind of varies from there of what I'm not sure what I can say that you want me to say. So go ahead, tell the people about you from that point on.
Well, to correct one little thing, I did start out playing in high school, so I played for like the last like year and a half of high school or so, and by the time I graduated high school, I was playing like high stakes on UB. Um, I didn't create my accounts on any other sites until I turned 18 though.
Brian, listen, we are the most legitimate people here. We don't do anything wrong. We started our accounts when we were 18. We're straight arrow. We don't drink. We don't do anything. We're just. I understand. You definitely, of course, started your Poker Stars account when you were 18. I agree with you.
No,
But
I actually did. I don't care about UB. UB doesn't even exist anymore, so whatever. I listed my birth date as like 6 years older than I actually was on UB, and never had a problem cashing out or anything. So
uh,
cheers, UB. Um,
you're the only
but
person
yeah,
that gets super used, and you still win money.
I did get super used a little bit. I got a little bit of a refund, but not as much as not as much as a lot of other people. Although my later years on UB, when everybody was getting super used, I didn't win money there. So, but it was how I built my bankroll.
So okay, so go through from the point on. So you win this $4.2 million from Isildur, which we're going to talk all about that session. We're going to talk about the comments, everything people said, hands, mindset kind of stuff. But go from that point on. So what happens after you win the $4.2 million in the session? Where do we go from there?
So that was that
2009.
was 2009. So I still had a year of college after that, in which I was still doing the same thing, just playing a bunch of poker, going to school, doing both. I graduated in December of 2010, and then I was dating a girl at the time who was doing a study abroad in Rome. I lived in Rome for the next 5 months, like January through May 2011. Um, Played some online poker over there. Traveled, played some EPTs. We broke up that summer. I Um, I, then that was when I went to Vancouver and met my good friend Joey Ingram right here. Um, had some good times in Vancouver. Then I went home and I was just staying with my parents for a little bit. Then I rented a place in South Florida with some friends the next spring. Enjoyed it. Decided to buy a place down here, and I've been here most of the time since then. Little stint in Chicago as well, where I rented a place, but for the most part, I've been in South Florida for the last like 2 years.
Okay, wow, that was honestly one of the most boring things I've ever heard in my life. All right, we're gonna spice that up a bit. You're more exciting than that. How you just made it sound, it was kind of exciting, but we're gonna spice it up a bit. So let's not do that. All right, so I'm just gonna tell people about people listening a little bit about yours and mine relationship because I think it makes the podcast experience here together kind of unique. So, like you said, I met you when I was in Vancouver and you were in Vancouver in about the end of 2011, and so like everyone was moving there for post Black Friday. At the
Right.
time, I was doing a Supernova Elite prop bet where I needed almost like 800,000 or 900,000 VPPs in 3 months, and I didn't really ever leave the house. But I left the house. There was a big poker meetup or something like that, and this is actually a meetup where I met a girl, a poker player girl that I ended up falling in love with for a couple days or week, something like that. I met her there, but I also met you there, and then you kind
Our initials CL.
of, dog, come on, come on, come on, you joking? I can't confirm or deny that. But anyway,
Okay.
so come on, Brian. So anyway, so I happened to meet you there, and you started hanging out with me and like my roommate Brad and Crazy Matt and a couple people that we kind of hung out with a bit. Because like in Vancouver, at the time there was a lot of Americans living up there, and I kind of started a Facebook group so that we could try maybe people as a group could get together, hang out, make new friends and stuff like that. And this meetup was
Wait, did
gonna.
you started that group with Vancouver Poker?
Yeah, I started that group. Yeah.
Wow, I like still get posts from them like all the time. That's that's
Well,
crazy that you started that.
Well, what happened at the time was like, so me and three other guys moved up there, and I was like, well, I want a good way to be able to meet other either Americans or other people from Vancouver, just to like hang out, meet new people. So I was like, I'm gonna start this Facebook group. So I started a Facebook group, and obviously that first initial time period up there, there was a lot of stuff that happened, a lot of meetups and stuff like that. But after some point in time, it just kind of fizzled out and nothing came from it. But that meeting, that hangout was one of the things that actually came from that group, which is kind of cool. So I meet you there and you start coming out with us. I realize that you enjoy talking to women as I enjoy talking to women. I also enjoy I see you love to dance. I love to dance as well. So we kind of hit it off, just talking about women, talking about that. I mean, we both played PLO. We didn't talk too much PLO. I remember I sweated you one time at your apartment, and you had the worst computer setup I've ever seen in my life. You were playing on a wooden chair with no armrests, and I have a YouTube video where I'm at your house, and I'm like, what is this crazy setup? You
I
also,
remember that.
you also,
I also remember going to sweat you at your place, and you were playing. You were short stacking like 25 PLO. You're
well,
buying in for like $10 or $8 or some shit. And
Well, Brian, during my Supernova League challenge, I was after I moved to Vancouver, I was a little bit busto, and I think I was playing 24 tables of PLO, and probably obviously not optimal. But one of the most important things that happened was during that time, I would talk PLO with you, and you gave me some confidence in my game to know that I wasn't a total fucking idiot, and also you helped me in terms of playing instead of having to play 25 cent 50 cent. I went up to play 2-4 because you were able to help me out with a nice
yes,
uh, cash advance to be able to afford me to play 2-4, and the rest was history. I played 2-4. I played 450,000 hands that month. I made Supernova Elite. I made like $80,000 that month with breakback and winning the prep and stuff like that. And then from that point on, I think our relationship, we talked a bit, but I think you went back to the States. But you came back up to Vancouver at some point in time in May, and you crashed at my place, and
yeah,
you won a lot of money playing poker.
Yes.
I think this is around this time I started raging, and I told you about raging, and you were like, "That sounds fun," but you didn't want to rage because you're more on the conservative side of life, which is fine. Then comes the next time we saw each other, which I was really raging when we were in Chicago together, and I would stay at your house and bring people over I'd bring crazy girls over to your apartment, and I have no idea what you were thinking, but
I was entertained.
yeah, I brought like 5 girls over to your apartment, I think that time, and you were nice. You let me crash at your place when I was in Chicago as well, when I was in and out of raging. I also once again invite you to come rage at me. You politely declined because you're a conservative person. Then then we ended up getting a place in Vancouver together the next month, and this is where I had my best month ever. I made $250,000 while we were. I'm not sure if people think like you sweated me or you were playing on my account. I'm sure some people probably thought that, but I'm pretty sure every game I was playing, and you were like, you probably shouldn't play in that game because I was playing
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
playing
Pretty much.
I was playing every 50, 100 game. But on that infamous 100, 200 hand I played where I won my biggest pot, you were like watching by the side, and is this illegal? I'm not sure if this is illegal. Can they take the money back? And we'll see. But I opened a hand and I was 40K deep at 100, 200, and Jeans three bet me, and I was like, man, I'm gonna fold, and you're like, man, you can't fold that hand. And then so I called the hand, I flopped the nuts, and then obviously I won an $8,000 pot. So
Yeah, and you had like Ace Jack Jack nine or something,
well,
right?
4, 7, 8 double suited, and I opened the cutoff. He three bet the button. I'm like, I'm gonna fold. You're like, dude, you can't fucking fold that hand. And I was like, is that illegal? We get banned now? I'm not sure. All right, well, we'll see.
I don't know. Moving on.
Okay, moving on. So from that point on, man, this is kind of an interesting story. So from that point on, I had my best month ever, and but you decided to leave. Now that was a bad mistake for my life, by the way. So you left, and it turns out
You were also raging like a madman on this trip too.
well, I wasn't raging. My idea was I'm going to celebrate my month, and that's when the problem started. And you weren't there to be the positive reinforcement in my life that I need. And so I went off the deep end a bit, and we'll fast forward to the next March, about 7 months later. I'm a beaten, broken man. I've been raging. I've raged my mind out. I've lost most of my money. I end up back at I'm in South Florida. You got a place down there in Fort Lauderdale. I'm at a music fest with the Crazy Christie, and I call you up. I'm like, Brian, can you come pick us up from Ultra? So you drive down there with your friend,
Oh my god.
and we end up going. Oh my God, we were very raged out those past couple days, and I'm not sure what you were thinking. And then I went.
I wanted to kill you in that car ride back because I was like trying to listen to my music and you're like, no, we gotta listen to this, and you're like putting on some house music, and I was like, oh my god, I just drove like a fucking hour to come get you.
Well, so we go back to your place, and I end up staying at your place like a month. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm coming back from Australia. I'm not playing poker. I, I'm playing untracked Euro sites. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with myself.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I forgot about Australia. That's where you were.
Yeah, that's where I was, my friend. That was an interesting time. But
Well,
I found myself again at your place in Fort Lauderdale, and then from that point on, I don't know, not much to talk about after that. But yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. I think we've had some interesting times together.
yes, we most certainly have.
I think that I think that's definitely one of the yeah, I think I've had the most interesting times in poker with you so far. And
That's quite a compliment coming from you.
I know it's very. We've danced a lot. So Brian, what people don't know about you is I'm not actually sure what people think about you anymore. So if you gauge the overall 2+2, what they think about you. Most of the noobs, that like Isildur and that read NBG, they have this really big misconception of you where they think you're like I don't even know they like I don't know they don't think nice things about you. Like why do you think that is? Just because you beat
Uh,
Isildur?
yeah, I mean, of course, Isildur is like a lot of them look up to him and he's their favorite player. So I mean, just the fact that I had that big win against him and kind of took him out of action for a little while, and um, yeah, they don't like me for that. I think it's basically just because of that.
Which is weird because obviously other people have beaten Isildur. I mean, you obviously crushed his soul. Took $4.2 million from him, and there were obviously some, questionable things that people brought up about that. And we're going to talk about that. And I'm sure that had a bit of a reason why these crazy people might have said that. But the things that some people say about you, I just like they like you're literally one of the nicest people I've ever met. Poker, no poker, anything like that. You know what I mean? There's really nothing mean or negative about you. And I think there'd be times when I used to read some comments people might say about you, and in the 2+2 forums, I'd get tilted. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm like, I don't know what are these people are like. I didn't understand. Understand why they're saying it. Hopefully, I don't think those things are really thought too much anymore about you, but maybe some of those people will give this podcast a watch here on YouTube, or they'll give it a listen on iTunes, and then yeah, they'll get to learn a little bit more about you. So
Yeah, I mean, I used to let that stuff get to me too. Like there was a point where just I would just kind of always read everything everybody had to say about me in MVG, and it would really actually get to me. Um, but I guess it kind of helped me develop thicker skin and just not worry about what everybody has to say, and helped me grow up a little bit, I guess.
well, I mean, obviously you were pretty young at that time. So how old are you right now? You're 24.
25, almost 26.
Wow, dude, you're old. Holy crap. I mean,
In poker terms, yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're not as old as me, obviously, or old man Lafort, but Lafort's like 31, man. He's an old guy.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised he was that old when I listened to a little bit of your podcast, although unfortunately I was like streaming it and then it cut off after like a half hour in, so I'll have to listen to the rest of it later. But
Well, I think I mean, even you, someone that's been around poker as long as you have, I think if you give that podcast a listen, you're going to really, really enjoy it because says some. Lafort, I mean, honestly, I could have talked to him for 155 hours straight on a live stream. It was just it was super easy to talk to, a very interesting conversation. I thought he made some great points about different things he said, and I think anyone that is coming up in poker or enjoys poker would enjoy just listening to him talk. And I think eventually, maybe when you're on one of your dates, you might be able to give the podcast a listen. Maybe you and your date can watch it on YouTube while you're sitting on the couch in your condo in Fort Lauderdale. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna ask her about that next time. Like, hey, my friend taped this great podcast with LaFort. You want to come over and listen to it?
well, just show her a picture of the fort, and then it makes it easier to watch when you get to see the fort. I mean,
Yeah, right. If she gets to watch him on the live stream the whole time, then yeah, she might be more into it. I don't know. Might
so
even turn her on a bit.
so I'm just going to tell people about a little bit about your place in Fort Lauderdale. So one thing you did with some of your poker money was you bought this very, very sick place on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. It's
Hmm.
directly across from where people go, in the ocean. And I'm explaining this bad. Just explain your place for people. I was trying to explain to my girlfriend last night because I told her, I was gonna have you on the podcast, and she was like, "How's it like? What's this place like? Like, where does he live?" And I told her about it. And the way I explained it and the way you explained it is probably a bit different. So go ahead and yeah.
Yeah, well, it's right on the heart of the beach in Fort Lauderdale, and a lot of this beachfront strip is made up of hotels. So this kind of building's kind of unique in that regard. So that's one of the reasons I decided to buy this place. But yeah, it's right in the heart of the beach. There's this complex Marriott Beach Place that's right next door that has like maybe like 8 bars in it and a few places to eat, and it's where a lot of people go. And the beach right across the street is like the place to be on Fort Lauderdale Beach. Like right now this weekend actually there's this Great American Beach Party going on where there's like all this crazy stuff set up and uh, sandcastle building contests and I don't know. Sounds kind of family oriented to me. I don't know if I'm gonna check it out, but we'll see.
So you being in this location, why did you pick this? I mean, I kind of know the answer to these questions already, but I'm just going to talk about it for the podcast. Why did you pick this location to live in Fort Lauderdale? Are you a big beach guy? Do you like tourists all the time? Do you like spring breakers? I know, like, so what made you pick that spot?
I mean, a lot of it had to do with just. I think living near the beach for me. I mean, I do go to the beach some, but I wouldn't say I'm like a huge beach person. I think a lot of the attractiveness for me was just in how that's going to play out as an investment. I think just the fact that my building is in this location right on the beach um, just lends itself to being a good investment because it's in a scarce area where there's not a lot of new development that can go on, and there's not a lot of luxury condo buildings like this. So yeah, I thought it would just be a great place to buy, and I decided when I bought this place that I wanted kind of more of a home because I had been kind of moving around from place to place for a few years, and I was a little bit sick of not having like a home and a place to put roots down. So I just kind of went for it with Fort Lauderdale. I stayed in the area with some friends for a month a couple years ago, and really enjoyed the area. There's some good live poker going on down here. Lot of big tournament series going on. Like the Hard Rock had their $10 million tournament last August, which I think they're doing again. And they had a 5 million WPT earlier this year also. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's good poker. I've met some good people down here. Great weather. It's just a really nice place to live.
So when you first moved down there, obviously you were a lot different than you were now in terms of making new friends, meeting people, kind of getting a little bit outside your comfort zone. Now, over time, how do you think you've changed in the past couple of years, living in one place consistently over time, not really being as obsessed with online poker as you were for a bunch of years? How do you think that you've changed, in the past couple of years as you've gotten older?
Um, I mean, I don't think my friend. Well, like when I went up to Vancouver, I mean, like I started making friends with poker players up there, but I made a decent amount of friends in a pretty short amount of time. Um, I think I mean, obviously I did it when I went to college too. Like, I mean, I've been a few different places where I've just kind of come there and not really known anybody all that well and had to make friends. And so, I mean, since I've done it a few times, I guess it just kind of it comes a little bit more naturally at this point. But the best thing I did down here actually was join a kickball league, and I made a lot of my friends from playing kickball down here. Actually, I joined a league with a couple guys I played poker with, who I actually the guys I played poker with I actually don't even really talk to that much anymore. But they just knew all these other people, and then I met people from kickball, and yeah, it's a lot of my friends down here are either people who play on my team or their friends. So
And
yeah.
you still don't do the one thing I always ask you. I literally ask you this question once to 5 to 10 times a month, and I ask you, have you started playing basketball more yet? Because when I was down there visiting you, you kept asking me to come play basketball with you, and I'm like, I don't play basketball. I haven't played basketball in 10 years, and I started playing basketball here, and that's how I've made like 7 of my friends now I have around here. I've made playing basketball, and as you say, kickball, you made a lot of new friends. That's also a good reason to also, I think, for people to get involved. As you're playing poker online, you don't really it's really hard to meet new people for the most part. So besides other poker players, and I found that joining community sports has been a great way to just make some new friends that are outside of poker that might be like-minded in a way. And obviously you're seeing that with kickball down there. Do you have any other plans to join any other type of league down there? Or, maybe you can start playing some basketball so we can play some two-on-two and fuck some people up down there on the beach, man, or what? Come on.
I do have to start playing more basketball. I mean, I have been off my game with that. For those of you who don't know, I'm not a very good basketball player. I mean,
Don't
it's
lie. You could be
I,
good. How do you know? You
I
don't. You don't try. How do you know you couldn't be good?
I don't put as much effort as I could, but I mean, I used to, I played organized basketball from like third grade through ninth grade. I wasn't good. I got cut from my varsity team. There were like 20 spots for 23 people, and I was one of the three cuts. I'm, I mean, I'm not a good basketball player, but I do love the game of basketball. I'm a huge basketball fan. I think I have some basketball smarts just from watching a lot of basketball, so I kind of like know how to play. I'm just not very athletic or good at executing things. um, but I do enjoy playing. I mean, yeah, for a while I was going down. There's a court by the beach right down by my place, and I was going down and playing quite a bit. Like when Joe said when he came and visited, I played with him. Um, I've met some people there. I didn't really ever like get their number or like stay in touch. I mean, it's just like the kind of thing where like occasionally we'd see each other at the basketball court, but that's about it. Um, but that would also be a good way to make friends though.
Yeah.
Um, although once they see my basketball game, they'll probably be like, I'm not being friends with that clown.
Wait, so how tall are you?
I am 5'10".
So I mean, obviously, when I started playing basketball, I'm closer to 6'3", 6'4". So I think it's a bit easier for me to pick up on the basketball in general when you're a bit taller too, just because it's hard
Yeah.
for people to block your shot and yeah, I don't really know. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
I mean,
why.
I've been trying to work on a jump shot, but I mean, it's still not that hard for people to block my shot. So
Well, Brian, when I see you, I'm going to teach you a couple things that are really going to help as far as that goes. But let's get, we've warmed up here. I didn't, I wish I had some direction. I wrote down some talking points as I normally do before the podcast, but I wish I had some specific directions because I know so much about you that I could like lead the conversation in so many different ways. Just about, I feel like how you've grown as a person over time, maybe what poker's taught you and stuff like that. But I think over the time that might just come up naturally. But we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. And that is we're going to be talking about the epic Isildur session that you played. Now I'm going to pull up the graph here real quick of that I have. So this is the graph I have for the session that you and Isildur played, and this is going to just preview, show you what's to come. So here you can see the graph where it's from Isildur's point of view. It was a session he played against you in 2009, December 8th, 2009. And now I'm not sure if people are actually going to believe what the hell this says or believe the word I'm saying, but this is a graph that shows he lost $4.2 million to you over a 8-hour time span. Now, I know people that are listening now that might not have followed poker back then are going to be really confused what I'm talking about. But there was a time when Isildur came around. He was playing a lot of high stakes PLO 501k on full tilt. And around this time period, I don't really know how well he was doing around this time period, but can you just give us a little lead up to how this session took place? What was the overall vibe of poker like back then? What was the feel on Isildur? How was he doing at the time? How were you doing at the time? Like, what happened to make this session take place?
so basically, I mean, Isildur kind of emerged on the scene and out of nowhere just started playing like high stakes with a number of different players. I had played him a few times before this session, at smaller stakes. Like I mean, I had played him at like 100, 200, like maybe like 200, 400 a little bit. Um, but yeah, he basically emerged on the poker scene, came out of nowhere. Like nobody knew who he was. Well, I mean, there were kind of after a while there were the rumors that the Victor Blom rumors because he had his screen name like Blom90 on I forget if it was iPoker or some other site, Micro Gaming maybe at the time. Um, but but anyway, yeah. So he just came and he would play anybody. He wanted to play as high as he possibly could, as high as his bankroll allowed at the time. Um, and he he won a bunch of money playing against Tom Dwan. I mean, those matches were pretty epic as well. I think it was over the course of a couple weeks. Like he might have won something like 4 or 5 million off Tom. Um, so then, I mean, at the time, I had played him a couple times, and I thought I had a pretty decent handle on his game. And I mean, I had obviously been railing a lot of his matches too. So, yeah, I mean, I saw him playing 501k, the one day he was playing against my friend Cole South, and I was studying for finals because I was a Cornell student at the time, and I was at one point Cole shot me a message on like GChat or something and said like, "Hey, I'm ready to quit soon. Do you want to play?" Because at the time we had an arrangement where me, him, and a few other people all shared like bought pieces of each other. Not not playing in the same games, obviously, but like playing heads up against people or just playing in games which didn't include the others of us. Um, so yeah, I mean, I was getting a little sick of studying, and I was railing the match while I was studying, and was really itching to get out there and play. So I played, and we played 6 tables of heads up PLO, 501k. Um, Victor always liked to play 6 tables. Six. If you've never played 6 tables of heads up poker, it's pretty freaking insane. It's basically just going like click, 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 click. Which I mean, I guess it would be kind of comparable to when Joe 24 tables. Because I mean, heads up, you just always have a decision on every table, pretty much. So you just, there's not as much time for for thinking. It's more. I think it's more preparation and just knowing how you're going to play and knowing some tendencies of the opponent that make you play a certain way against them. And yeah, the rest is history. I ran really good.
Well, Brian, you're saying some keywords here that I know a lot of people are going to be interested in hearing more about. So you mentioned sharing, you mentioned tendencies, you mentioned the other card runners guys, right? Now this is the big thing. I don't actually know if you've talked about it before. Me and you have briefly talked about it. We don't really talk much poker, to be honest. We kind of briefly talked poker, but we never really
No, yeah, we really don't.
we talk about like basketball and life and dancing and women and music and stuff like that. But we don't really talk too much about the past and the poker Isildur stuff. I've never really asked you about it. I don't particularly. I just think it's kind of awesome session. I don't necessarily care too much more about it, but a lot of other people really do care about it, and they want to know, what exactly was going on. What was the deal? So there was the card runners thing. There was the hand history. There was like a speculation. There's a you're funneling hands into one database, and you guys are spending 45 hours a day breaking down tendencies, and you guys have a cheat sheet on the side of the computer, like this is what he does in this situation, yada yada, XXXYYY type of thing. Like, what exactly was taking place at the time?
Um, well, I mean, all of us were watching the matches pretty regularly and following hands like in the NVG thread and all that. And then additionally, Brian Townsend bought some hands off of PTR, which I guess was officially against the terms and conditions of Full Tilt, and which is why he got like I think he had like a month suspension or just his Red Pro status revoked for a month or something. Um, but it was something that was I think a pretty commonly held practice at the time. Like, I mean, not to name any names, but there were some pretty prominent players who would just post openly in threads, being like, "Oh, anybody have hands I can purchase on so and so player?" Like, I mean, so that was the thing that people did. I personally did not do this. I but so Brian purchased these hands and did a lot of review of them himself, and then would type up some analysis emails where he would just say like, I've noticed Victor check raises turns a lot and on certain kinds of boards, stuff like that, and then basically just kind of a game plan for how to combat these strategies.
So, I mean, I don't think that's cheating. I can see why some people might think that's. I don't think that's really like that much different than anything like what I'm talking about with other people, and we're talking about some regs. I mean, that we're playing against a lot. We're talking about some tendencies they might do, ways to combat it, ways to beat it, something like that. Like, you don't think that's cheating? I'm assuming, correct? Obviously not, right?
No, I don't. I mean, the only semi gray area is the actual purchasing of hands off PTR versus just using hand histories that you've logged on your own. Because I mean, like I said, like technically that was against the terms and conditions. I mean, I had no idea about this at the time. Honestly, I would not have known that it was against the terms and conditions even, which obviously was why I was so open about it in interviews because I had no idea we did anything wrong. um, I mean, I there's still nothing I personally did that violated any terms and conditions. I mean, I'm pretty sure. So, but yeah, I mean, it's basically equivalent to just yeah, people discussing like, oh yeah, we both play with so and so reg. He does this. How should we play differently against him? Like, just that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any different than, let's take for instance, another person I do a podcast with, Doug, WCG writer. I'm sure him and his friends are sitting around talking about a match Doug might have played, or they're looking over hands. They're figuring out ways that they might be able to combat. Like when he was playing Sauce in that challenge, I'm sure they were talking about hands and they were talking situations and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think it's like anything different than what you did. It was just, how exactly did all that get out? Like, where did all that start? That people, was it a blog post you made? Is that what happened?
I did an interview with Gary Wise from ESPN like a couple days after, and I used some awful term like conglomerated hand histories, which made it sound like really, really much worse than what it was, and which wasn't even really accurate because we didn't put together any of our hands. Like Brian bought the hands off PTR, but I I never looked at any hand histories besides the NVG thread or hands I played against him.
I would agree. I mean, for people that don't know you, I've honestly never known you to like shoot an angle at anything or like cheat on something or anything like that. So you
I
know,
mean, I didn't even cheat on tests in high school. I don't.
I
I
know
mean,
you're
I
like
guess I
literally
guess I didn't have to, but
yeah, you're one of those straight edge people that I've know, and obviously when you tell me stuff like this, I believe you, and I hope others do believe you out there. And I don't necessarily think it's like it's not really a big deal as much anymore because it's not very talked about. But there are still some people who still think this way, like, oh, you guys cheated or you guys did something wrong. When in reality, I mean, you could have easily just lost $4.2 million. I mean, you probably wouldn't have lost that much that session. You probably would have stopped loss. And
yeah, I would have stop lost it. I think I probably had like a million stop loss or something around that of that nature. But
well, let's get into the match. So leading up to these is all taken from the high stakes thread on 2+2, and I went back to December 2009. And how I found this was I went on Google and I put in December 2009 high stakes thread 2+2, and I found it.
you're such a good user of the internet, Joe.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't actually know. It took me like two Google searches to get to this point. So leading up to this point, Isildur was playing for a long time that night. He just got done playing your friend Brian Townsend, and he was up about $2 million when he started playing.
I thought it was Cole. It was Brian.
Yeah, it was Brian. Yeah, it was Brian. He was playing Brian.
Okay.
He played someone else before Brian, and then he played Brian as well.
Okay.
So, sorry, I'm eating breakfast. I'm eating some fruit. Very healthy guy, healthy living over here. And
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you've been known me to be that healthy. I usually at McDonald's and Burger King when we
No, you're off to McDonald's though now, didn't you say?
yeah, I haven't eaten McDonald's in a long time. Remember, I'd like ask you to get McDonald's every day though. I'm like, let's get McDonald's.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, like when we split that place in like the August the 1 year or whatever, September.
Oh, I asked you to get McDonald's me every day, didn't I?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I have to also thank you. You introduced me to what a blender is. If no one has a blender, they need to get one because it's one of the most
Yes.
amazing purchases ever. You get to make
Yes.
smoothies and protein shakes and all that good stuff.
Yeah, protein shakes, very very tasty, very healthy. Takes a matter of seconds to make. Well, maybe a minute or two, but
Yeah, that
yeah,
that
just
was
just
one of the
just
best.
just makes eating healthy so much more easy and enjoyable.
It's one of the favorite things I learned from you was what a blender was. And at the time, I had no idea what a blender was. And I'm like watching you in the kitchen, and you're like making shakes. I'm like, the fuck are you doing? You're like, dude, come on, it's a smoothie. You want one? I'm like, no, I'm gonna go eat McDonald's. You're like, okay, dude. Okay, so I I'll reading some questions in the people. If you have any questions in the YouTube, you can leave some comments in there. I also put a thread up on a site that Skirvoy runs, netblocker.com. They have some poker forums over there. I like to post over there. It's a PLO community. I have some questions there we'll get to as time goes on. And so if anyone has anything they want to ask or talk about, go ahead and post it in there. But so the day starts off. Isildur's up about $2 million. He's playing for a long time. He decides to play you. So in this going into this session, you said that you and other people had a standing arrangement where you would have different percentages of each other. So going into the match, are you comfortable saying how much you might have had it of yourself going into this?
Yeah, I had 35% of myself.
Okay. Was there some speculation in the thread that you might have had all of your action going into that session or something like that? They said you dropped. I don't know what I read a couple of people say it. So
Okay, so I'll explain. So there were some people that I had been selling standing pieces to whenever I played 501k, and I told them I think a day or two before that um, that I wasn't selling to them anymore. I don't remember why. um, I think it was maybe just because I wanted a bigger piece to my action, or I'm not really sure. But I mean, yeah, it was just a couple of people who had sold action to like a couple times, but not a ton of times.
okay. So we start the session off. Do you remember anything about the session, by the way?
I remember it just being a crazy whirlwind, basically. I mean, playing six tables heads up is pretty pretty insane. There's not a lot of time to really think about decisions. It's a lot of just basically a test on what you know and just being able to execute really fast. Um, I also remember at one point him taking a little break, like a bathroom break or something, and me looking at my Hold'em manager or poker tracker or whatever I had at the time, and just being like, "Holy shit!" Because I thought I was maybe up like a million, and then I was up like 2.5 or something. I was like, "Whoa."
I mean, I can't even imagine what I can't even imagine. That must have been one of the most crazy feelings ever, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I remember the feeling I had after that session. I mean, I think I think it kind of hurt like the next couple of years of my life because like it's just hard to like replicate that kind of experience. It was almost like taking some kind of drugs, like just like the kind of insane like euphoria feeling I got to the session.
Now, you actually bring up an interesting topic. I was going to ask you about this afterwards, but when you go through something like this, so you're playing these stakes, and I actually have I think I might know the answer to this question already just from talking to you a lot. But when you go through this time of your life where you're playing these stakes, you're winning $4.2 million in a session, like how exactly this has to affect your mindset, your approach, just like your overall thinking. How do you think it affected you as far as, let's say, you know, fast forward to 3 or 4 years later? You know what I mean? How do you know what I mean? Like, how do you think it change your approach? Like you said, it was like taking some kind of drug. You're having these amazing sessions where you sit down and you win $1 million. How do you think that affected you?
I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, I've gotten myself in a pretty good zone now where like I mean, honestly, I'm pretty competitive and I like to win. And like I mean, I I think regardless of like the amount of money, I mean, I'm like that guy who like plays like a 1-2 poker game with his friends and like still can't bring myself to like make a knowingly bad play. Like I mean, I just always want to win, and I just always try to play my A game. So I mean, like nowadays, I mean, I can play 2-4 no limit or 2-4 PLO, and if I lose a pot, I'm pretty upset. It's not me. Like I don't have any gene in me that says like, oh well, I only lost $100. That's no big deal. It's like fuck, I lost. Like that's just how I think about things.
So you don't think it affected your motivation at all as far as like wanting to put in a lot of work or a lot of time or from that standpoint as well?
I think possibly more immediately after that, yes. Especially since I had just like a bunch of other stuff going on in my life at the time. Like that was like when I started dating my ex, pretty much. It was like right after that, and I was, I was going through my last year of college too, and I was trying to take that more seriously, because I mean, in my early part of college, I think I was a little bit too unbalanced towards playing a little bit too much poker and spending a little bit too much time on my social life. And my grades like my first year of college were crap. But as I went on in college, like I ended up graduating with a 3.2, which I'm pretty proud of considering where I started at.
So
Um,
you met your ex girlfriend after you had a $4.2 million session? Is that what you said?
we I think I went on my first date with her like literally like 2 days after that.
God, that must have been the most confident day of your life. You're walking in there, fucking dick swinging around like I'm the man. What's up? 4 point. Yeah, what's up? Let's go, man. Nothing can bring you down at that point in time, huh?
I forget. It was either my first date or I took her to our formal. I think we actually went on the first date like a week before that, and then I took her to like our like my fraternity's formal that week. But yes, I was feeling rather confident at the time.
I don't think anything could have brought you down, man. She could have been like, "I hate you." You're like, "That's cool with me. I'm fine. I'm good." You know. Did she know that you played poker at all? Did she know about the success you might have had, or anything like that? Was it a completely unknown thing?
She knew I played poker, but I definitely didn't like talk about the session or anything like that. So I don't think she had any idea like how good I was at poker or anything like that.
Well, that must have been a shocker when she found out, because I'm sure eventually she found out.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, oh, hmm? Because obviously, when people ask you, you meet a woman or you meet a girl, you say, I play poker or I play online poker. Most women, they don't know what that means. Most people don't really know what that means. You're just like, okay, like, can you make money doing that? Like, can you like pay rent or something? Most people can't really understand the idea. And then I would imagine if you told them the type of success you were having, most people wouldn't believe you. I'm sure.
Right, or the whole, but how much do you lose? The standard Don question.
That's
um,
pretty much the standard.
but yeah, I definitely think usually yeah, the reactions when you tell someone you play poker are generally like, oh, like, can you make enough money to support yourself, or like, do you win more than you lose? Like, just, you know things like that. Not like, are you actually like making a ton of money? Obviously.
So at this time, how would you answer that question? You're in college, you go out to a bar or something like that. Your friend mentions you play poker, or someone asks you what you do, you say you play poker or something like that. How would you answer that question back to them in terms of how you did at the time?
I would just kind of say, I've done pretty well for myself. Like, everything would always be in vague terms. I never talked dollar amounts. Well, I mean, I was trained very greatly in high school not to talk dollar amounts, because all my friends in high school were like, well, friends and like people who I had otherwise like not really talked to all that much. Then all of a sudden started like trying to be my best friend. Like,
So
hey, Stinger, how much you up now?
that's an interesting question. I forgot. There's a lot of interesting, things that come with all this. I mean, you're like a legitimate had millions of dollars at a point in time in your life. You still debatably might have millions of dollars now. It's not no one's business, but at one point in time, you were doing extremely well from online poker. And
Hmm.
obviously, as you said, sometimes what comes with that is you meet these people that have these pretty bad intentions, or maybe not bad intentions, but they just want to be around somebody that's sort of doing that well in their life. What were your experiences like with people, maybe trying to get close to you or trying to have some type of relationship with you, or something like that, that didn't come from the best place?
I mean, I don't think I ever had anybody with like super bad intentions who would like, like really trying to like take advantage of me financially. Um, well, there's one guy I loaned money to that, I mean, a poker player who some of the fans might know, that was not a good loaning decision in hindsight and did not return my investment. Um, but
I know who you're
as
talking
far
about, but
Yeah, as far as like real life friends go, though, I never really had anybody like that. Well, I mean, I had a couple of high school friends who were actually good friends of mine who would ask for, like, I'd be up like $10,000 on UB this week, and they'd be like, hey, could I have $25 to play a couple small sit and goes, and be like, all right. So so I mean, that would happen, but they're actually like good friends of mine too, and I didn't really mind doing that at the time.
so that's interesting because I mean I think I had similar experience. I mean I didn't have the type of success you had on the scale you had, but I still had a bunch of money at the time. And what people or what my parents warned me about was like watch out for people that are going to try to get into your life that only want to use you for money or like you for money or something like that. But what I found is I really didn't experience that too much. And it sounds from your vantage point, you didn't really experience too much of that either. You still might not. I don't think you still really experience much of that, do
No,
you?
no, I really didn't. It's more just like a little bit of like people who like want to get to know me now who like didn't really want to get to know me before that, but not really people like asking for money or trying to take advantage of me in that way.
I think it's a good thing. I think that's always something that I've heard growing up. Is like you get money and people, all these bad apples come out of the woodworks and they're trying to use you for this, use you for that, and I think that idea is kind of blown out of proportion. But I think it
Yeah,
also happens to people that are just not smart about the way they approach things. And if you're pretty intelligent, you know what to look out for. I don't think that's something you really have to worry about for the most part.
I agree.
So
But
basically,
it is good to always be more safe than sorry though, and just to have your eyes open and always consider the possibility. I mean, I guess another area in which it would come into play is women, because there certainly could be women out there who are the gold digging type, and I think that's an area in which it would come into play. But I've always just had my guard up so much with that, and I don't know. I just, the way my personality is, I don't really tend to attract those type of people anyway. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely. Yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question though, and I was gonna ask this. If you could go back in time, Mr. Excellent says, if you could go back in time, would you play less poker and be more social? Because it's a good question.
If I could go back in time, I might do the opposite, honestly.
Whoa.
um,
Okay, go ahead.
or just because I mean, just in hindsight, just knowing how good the games were back then. Um, I mean, I really could have like just totally set myself up for life. I mean, not that I'm not pretty well. I'm still set up a lot better than I mean the average 25-year-old. That's for sure.
Hashtag humble. Okay, go on.
um, but no, I mean, because I always was kind of getting out and being social. I mean, I had plenty of friends in high school. I mean, I went out and partied on the weekends. In college, I joined a fraternity. I had plenty of friends there as well. Um, so I don't think I was really being any less social than any of my peers. I mean, for the most part. I mean, I guess there would be exceptions, like say, like my freshman dorm, like people would go out in the common room and like hang out and like hang out with each other and like I don't know, it's like some of them would just like work on stuff together or just spend time with each other. Whereas then that would be my time for like going and playing online poker. So there's like a little bit of that. But like in high school, it was pretty much just like I said, I got cut from my basketball team when I was in varsity. So I mean, while my friends would be at like basketball practice or whatever or football practice, because the only sport I ended up playing varsity was golf. So while all my friends would be at like their sporting stuff, I'd play poker, and then when my friends wanted to go hang out at night, I would go hang out. So I don't know. I mean, I was never like not social really. I always made it a point to get out and do it.
It doesn't sound like it had too big of an effect on what you're doing at the time. So, one more question,
No,
Chucky.
yeah, it always more just replaced like my school time, like more than anything, I would say.
Who needs to study? I agree. Making millions of dollars, why study? I agree. Chucky Jenkins
No,
asks.
studying is important. Go to school, kids.
No, I don't. I don't think so. But Chucky Jenkins asks in the YouTube chat. Ask him if he thinks he can take Victor in a fist fight. And then someone else says, Blam is tall. He could be a better challenger than you would think. Who do you think would win
um,
a fist fight? You or Isildur1. And someone also said, Fifi2222 says, have you talked to Blam after the session? Now we actually both were at Aria one time having a dinner, and I believe Isildur walked in with a woman. She may or may not have been a paid escort, by the way. We can speculate. If we're gonna play hooker, not a hooker game in Vegas, I would have guessed debatably a hooker. But it was what 3 a.m. We're in the Aria Cafe. Isildur came in. And I was like, "What is that, Isildur?" And you're like, "Yeah, it is." And then we had a brief chat with him. And
yeah.
one, do you think you could take him in a fist fight? Two, have you talked to him after that session?
All right. One is a good question. I don't. I mean, I've never been in a fist fight in my life, so I'm not sure. I probably weigh more than him, but he has more reach. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think it would be a close match. I mean, I wouldn't suspect he's like any kind of great fighter either, but he does have a reach advantage on me, and who knows?
So you're saying yes. Okay. Have you talked to him after the session?
Yeah. So there was that one experience that you just talked about where we ran into the RA Cafe and chatted for a few. And there was another time where I ran into him in the elevator at Caesars. It was when we were both playing the NBC Heads Up Championship, and it was me, him, and Vivek Rajkumar in the elevator. And Vivek was like, "Whoa, I gotta get a picture of you guys. This is so cool." And then Victor's like, "No, no, I lost too much to him." Uh, but like, yeah, no, he seems like a really nice kid though. I mean, for him to even be cordial to me is like it means a lot given our history. But
It's got to be
those,
weird. It,
those are the only like couple little real life run-ins I've had with him though.
it's got to be really weird for him seeing this guy.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, so back to the most important part of this story was the girl he had at the Aria Cafe that night. Do you remember? She was like an Asian girl, and like, do you
She was an Asian girl, yeah.
hooker or not a hooker? What do you think?
I I would have guessed hooker, but
But
you don't
why?
know.
So I've actually thought about this weirdly enough more since that time. And I always go back to the point was it was 3 a.m. Why the fuck would you be at the Aria Cafe with a hooker at 3? It doesn't like were you were you Dan? Did you meet her at the inside? You go to I don't know. I can't understand why they would have been at the Aria Cafe at 3 a.m.
I mean, hookers have to eat food too.
Is that from
Oh.
experience you're talking here, or how would you know that?
Because they're human beings, and all human beings need to consume food to not die.
It sounds like you're speaking from experience here, Brian. We won't get into that. You know, this is a family podcast, the High Stakes PLO podcast. We actually currently have our most viewers ever. We're setting a record. We have about 70 viewers right now. All thanks to you, Brian. They all came here to see you. And another,
They're here to see you too.
yeah, here to see you. Don't be modest here. Maybe it's a Saturday. Maybe people have nothing to do on a Saturday and then spend a couple hours hanging out with me and you in the live stream.
Yeah, I mean it's like a Saturday morning. Like people are probably a little bit hungover or whatever, and you know this
Yeah.
is probably about the speed for like a Sunday morning activity. So
That's pretty true. Anti-character asks, what is raging? Raging to me is when you go out all night long, you're drinking, you're maybe doing other things, you're having a good time, you're maybe with a girl you like, maybe you love her for that night. And that's kind of what raging is to me, partying, dancing, having a good time. Someone says, Martin, my friend Martin asks, friend of the podcast, Ingram, can you elaborate on what drugs you did enjoy the most? No, I can't. Uh, Nia S1 asks, why is it so dark? It looks like he's some sex offender being interviewed and doesn't want to show his face.
I try I tried to change the lighting by like getting this turning the blinds down back here. It was even worse before, I think, wasn't it?
I mean, you do kind of look like a little sex offender with like the blurred face kind of outfit.
Anyway, let me put the blinds up. You can keep talking, but I'm gonna see if this helps.
Okay. Yeah, he made a. That was a good point. Thank you for making that good point. I have to comment.
I think this is just gonna make it even worse, but we'll see.
Ooh, we get a little nice backdrop of your outside there.
Yeah, there's this crazy beach party going on right now.
Is that
So
the
many
place
people in
next
water.
door?
What's up?
Does that place next door still pop off? They play that loud music?
No, that place like closed down or
Oh my
something.
God, I love that place. That I would like when I was at your house. I'd like be dancing in the afternoon, like listening to that place.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm trying to like see if there's any way I could not look like a sex offender on the screen here. I'm trying to like lean certain ways.
I
Like,
wonder if I was in that bad lighting, would I look like a sex offender?
yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Okay, Neo S1 asks, my new favorite YouTube commenter, do you think you're better than Victor today? I don't necessarily know how you can even gauge something like that, but go ahead, give it a shot.
I would say probably no. Probably not at Heads Up PLO because he's played a lot more hands in the last few years. Um, he's from all accounts he got a lot better after the session we played. I mean, at the time I thought he was a pretty decent spot at PLO. I always respected the hell out of his no limit game. I mean, I played him like a tiny bit, but at the time he was pretty raw in PLO, and I think since then he's gotten a lot better. And just based on the fact that I haven't really been able to get a whole lot of heads up action, I mean, I've been playing online on an anonymous site, and
Excuse me, what was
I've
that?
been what's that?
You've been playing where?
An unnamed site, we'll say,
Untracked Euro sites you playing on?
something like that.
We play heads up. We ever play against each other?
I don't think so. Nobody ever plays me.
You
Nobody ever
better not
plays
see
heads
me.
up.
You better not see me in these untracked Euro site streets there. I'm coming for you, buddy. The student's coming for the teacher, my friend.
Bring
And
it
by
on,
that,
kid.
and by that I mean you run very well. I'm never playing you in anything. You beat me for like $700 in some open face game. You like hustled me at. I only gamble against you at basketball, NBA 2K, the video game, or that's it. I'm never playing you at any. I'm never gambling with you at anything. Do
When did you play Open Face with me?
you remember that one time I was like, we were sitting in your poker table at your apartment, and you're like, do you want to come play a game called Open Face like Pineapple or something? And I'm like, yeah, I'll play this. And you're like, oh, we'll play low stakes. I'm like, okay, sure. And then you just proceeded to run like God against me for like 5 hours and won like a bunch of money from me.
I mean, we must have only been playing like $1 a point or something.
Yeah, and that's my point. Exactly. You ran very you run so good. That's the thing that people don't know about you. To sustain such high stakes over a long period of time, you have to run so well. Like you probably run harder than almost anybody in the whole entire world when it comes to poker.
I mean, I did at the time. I mean, I've kind of that's sort of corrected a little bit the last few years, I guess. Regressed towards the mean a little bit.
Now you just run. Okay, all right, must be nice, man.
I'm down money for the last like couple of years.
All right. Down money in terms of poker.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up a whole other question in itself. I've obviously asked you this question a million times. I'm going to ask you it on the podcast. So you've had your most success playing Parliament Omaha, but
Mhm.
as you said in the last couple of years, your results haven't been as good, and you haven't also been playing as much Parliament Omaha. You play more mixed games, you play more that type of stuff. Now, outside of you can't necessarily find a Parliament Omaha game all the times, why did you decide to go away from your most successful game where you made all your money at PLO and start playing in these other games, as you said, that have now led to a couple, losing years for you? What was your decision on that? Why did you decide to do that?
Um. Well, yeah. I mean, well, for starters, I mean, in the live poker arena, um, like I've said, I'd much rather play. I'd much rather play a mixed game because it's generally going to be seven-handed or maybe eight-handed, um, whereas um, a live PLO game is going to be nine-handed or ten-handed, and I think nine or ten-handed poker is just so slow and boring. Um, it's just a way different game than like the PLO games I'm used to playing online. Now I love playing PLO online. I mean, I still do it. I mean, I still love playing six max games whenever I can. I wish they would offer live six max games because then I would totally play. Um, but as is, I think the mixed games are just a lot more fun, just a better pace of play, um, and I also think they're very profitable for me too. And um, and losing my train of thought here. I'm not really sure why. Um,
People
but
can't see me right now, luckily, but okay.
but yeah, basically what I was saying is just live, just playing a mixed game that's like maybe like six to eight handed. The pace of play and it's just a much better game than like playing like nine or ten handed PLO live in my opinion. So that's the main reason live. I mean, online I try to play PLO. I mean, whenever I have the opportunity to play online PLO, I do it basically. Um, Meaning when I travel somewhere to play Poker Stars or when I'm playing here on unnamed site, I play the PLO games when they run. But the game, unfortunately, the games don't always run, and um, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time out of the U.S., so I haven't really had too much of a chance to play the PokerStars games the past couple of years.
Brian, on this podcast, the High Stakes PLO podcast with Joe Ingram One, we're very open about things. If you're playing on some sites but you don't want to say what they are, that's okay. But I like to tell people what site I'm playing on. You know what site I'm playing on? I'm playing on untracked Euro sites. That's what I'm playing on right now.
Yeah, well, me too.
I know. I think we play together.
I don't think so.
I think I know
Maybe
your
though.
I think I know your screen name on a particular untracked Euro site.
I've probably told you before.
I don't know. Who knows? All right, let's get into some hands, man. Let's get into the hands. These are the most
All right.
exciting hands we've had, besides the Karamont hand. So Karamont, 22, friend and guest of the podcast, we had him on, and he has played some of the most degenerate fucking hands ever. And these hands are obviously great, but I don't know if they're going to quite be as on the degeneracy level of the Karamont special. Karamont, did you ever get a chance? Do you know anything? You know Karamont by any chance?
I mean, I've played with him a bunch. I don't know him personally at all though.
Very interesting guy. That was a great podcast we did together. Very
I'll
smart
have to
guy.
give it a listen.
Loves drugs and debatably plays on drugs when he plays some hands. So yeah, it was a real interesting podcast though. He's a great guy. Let's get into
Yeah,
this.
I don't really play poker on drugs, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to reach
That's
that level of
I have to commend
skills.
you for that, Brian. I may or may not in my time of life have tried to be a bad influence. If you consider doing some certain things bad, I consider them doing fun and great and a good time. But you would consider them. You've been a very you've stuck to your guns, you've stuck to your morals, and I definitely respect that about you, because I've definitely
I don't,
tried to get you to the
I don't know
dark.
if I don't know if it's morals. It's just more personal choice, I guess.
Well, I don't know if it's morals either. I'm just saying morals. I don't really know if that's the right way to. I'm not a professional words talker. I play online. I know how to 24 table. Well, I don't know how to. I'm still learning how the whole speaking to other people thing. So I feel like I'm getting
Well,
better at it.
you're pretty good at making women fall in love with you, though.
Do you have a story you'd like to tell the people of something you might a time? Because I mean, obviously, I talk about women on the podcast and raging, but I could just be blowing smoke up everyone's ass. Do you have any stories of times you'd like to speak of that you might have seen me make someone fall in love with me?
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I've met, I've hung out with you with a lot of different women by your side for sure. Generally, generally quite attractive. Um, I remember one time that that time in August, I forget. I think I was trying to sleep, and then you came back, and all of a sudden, for some reason, I wasn't able to sleep as well. Um,
That's your story, huh? That's your story.
well, I'm trying. Let me try to think of a good story. Um, is there anyone you had in mind?
I honestly don't know. You've seen me with like 15 girls. I don't really know. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone was more in love with me than the other ones were, to be honest.
I definitely enjoy the fact that like half the girls you hung out with around me have the nickname Crazy so and so. So like Crazy Jackie, Crazy Christy.
Oh, Crazy Jackie! I forgot about that story.
Yeah,
That involved some crying, didn't it?
we went to what's it called? Alinea.
That was different. That was no, that was a different girl.
Wasn't that Crazy Jackie?
Which Jackie are you talking about?
Was that the non-Crazy Jackie?
Who was the Jackie I brought over and I started crying?
I thought that was Crazy Jackie.
The girl I brought to Alinea was also named Jackie, though.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's two
Wasn't she
Jackies.
wasn't she crazy?
Well, of course she was crazy. Her name's Crazy Jackie. What about the one that was from the friend, that bartender girl?
What the girl, the Vancouver girl,
Which girl's that?
the one that we met down here at my apartment?
Oh my God! Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You want to talk about that in the live podcast, kid? We'll talk about that in the live podcast, but I don't think you want to talk about that in the live podcast.
No, no, not really.
I'm telling that story in 7 years, by the way. I teased that story to LaFord. I told him I couldn't tell him, but I'm telling that story in 7 years. That was the most epic night. If I wrote about that night, that would be the most viewed post in a poker blog history.
I don't think I ever. I don't know if I ever want that story to get told.
I can't even like tease that story anymore. I can't talk about that story anymore. Let's get into a hand on that note. All right, so we're gonna start off with the first hand. Now
Sounds great. Let's talk some poker.
I think your dad's listening to this, and if he is, Brian's a great guy. I love him. He's a nice guy. Thank you. Thank you. First hand here. So I kind of went over the general trajectory of the match in the high stakes thread where I pulled these hands up, and now when I talk, the hand history will show. So this is the first hand I have here. So I'm gonna read the action and the cards because people are gonna be listening to this on audio as well. So I want to make sure I do a pretty fair job of talking the hands out. So in this hand right here, this is towards the beginning of the match. It's so all these hands are going to be from 500 to 1,000, and the buy-in's $100,000. So this hand, you guys start off about $160,000 deep. Now Isildur opens the button 3x. I think all you guys are opening to the standard 3 times the big blind open. So he opens and you 3-bet. Isildur has what? Isildur has Jack 6-3-9 with a 6-9 of diamonds, and you 3-bet with Ace Jack King 8 with the Jack 8 of spades. And now the flop comes King 6-10 with 2 hearts, and you decide to check. Isildur bets 14,000 and 18,000, and you check call with top pair. Isildur has bottom pair and a gut shot straight draw with the Jack 9. The turn, the hand gets pretty interesting. Now, this is a tendency I noticed from looking over most of his hands, where Isildur liked to bet pot in a bunch of situations, and I think that was the overall nature of the games back then. Was people just really like to bet pot. So the turn to three of
Well,
club.
I think it's a pretty good board texture to be betting pot though on the turn. I mean, I would probably bet a little bit smaller with my range, but I don't think there's anything wrong with betting pot on like it because it's just a very dynamic board where pretty much any river card changes it.
I don't want to talk about that. So the turn, Isildur makes two pair on the turn. He has the turn's a three, so he has three, six, jack, nine. So he has bottom two pair, and you have top pair with top pair, top kicker with a gut shot. And Isildur bets pot, and you decide to check raise all in, and Isildur calls. Now in the turn here, so you're putting in about 135 big blinds on the turn here when Isildur bets pot. So I mean, are you thinking in this spot that you have some sort of fold equity when he bets pot? Or are you thinking your hand's just going to be you're going to be ahead of portion of his range? I'm guessing, and I guess even against his actual hand, you're doing pretty well against. So I mean, what's your thinking going into the turn here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking there are just a lot of hands that he has that are like one pair and a lower straight draw and maybe a flush draw, something like that. I don't really think I have much fold equity. I mean, it's really hard for him to not have anything on this kind of board. Um, but at the time, I mean, I'm looking back at this hand, I'd probably play it entirely differently today.
Well, let's go
But
ahead. Let's talk about that. So yeah, I think that's going to be something interesting. We can talk about most of these hands. So how would you play this hand differently today if you were going to play the hand now?
I don't like my three bet that much actually. I think 160 big blinds deep. I think this is a good hand to just have in a flatting range, really. Um, I think if I had a nut suit, I would three bet, but I think I want to have some high card hands in my flatting range, and I think this is like a mediocre hand that fits that bill. So I would flat pre-flop, and then I'd be just check calling flop and check calling turn, and the hand would play entirely differently.
Yeah, I think back then it seemed like there was much more light three betting going on in this match for sure, and I think that was the overall nature of a lot of the games. Was there was
Yeah, I mean, Isildur three bet like a ridiculous percentage of the time, like probably something in above 30, maybe close to 40% or something at the time.
well,
So
that's actually something as well. So going into the match, do you have any specific reads you can remember on him, like maybe some sort of tendencies he might like to do at the time, or like a general game plan going into it?
I mean, it's been so long, but I mean, I would say for one thing, just taking advantage of that fact that he's three betting so often and just playing a lot of big pots in position. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I mean that's like the main thing I would say. And then at the time, I'm sure I had some more specific reads on like what kind of boards he was more barely on, what kind of boards he was more likely to give up on. But yeah, I would say the main thing would be just trying to play a lot of my big pots in position.
Okay. So
Obviously, this first example of a hand is completely going against that advice.
yeah, well, luckily on this hand you do get it all in on the turn where you have top pair, and on the river you do make the nuts, which is going to be a common theme in this hand, and you take down the $317,000 pot. Congratulations. So this is towards, like I said, it's towards the beginning of the match. So this next hand is you guys start off. You're about $228,000 deep. These are just sick to read. So Isildur opens the button. You three bet. He four bets, and you five bet. So Isildur has ace, king, 10, 9 with a king 9 of spades, and you have double suited aces. So the flop comes queen, queen, jack, and you go all in for 147,000 into a $162,000 pot, and Isildur calls. Now, what do you think about Isildur's pre-flop call of your five bet, and what do you think about his flop call in this as played on the hand? So Isildur flops a open it. He flops a wrap basically on queen queen jack with ace king 9 10, and you flop aces, so you have blockers to king 10. Also, you have blockers to something. I don't know. Whatever. Go ahead.
I mean, once he gets to the flop like this, he definitely has to call the flop. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I don't like his pre-flop play very much. personally not a hand I like four betting very very much. I'd rather be more polar towards having either aces or hands that can play okay against aces. Unless I'm three betting some ridiculous percentage of the time, which I mean, judging by that first hand where I three bet ace king jack eight with a jack high suit, like I was probably three betting quite a bit, but I still don't know if it's enough to justify four betting a hand like this. And certainly once I five bet, I don't think he can continue with his hand. I mean, he's just in way too bad shape against aces, which makes up the majority of my range. I mean, I'm definitely capable of putting in the four bet with some other hands, um, but I'm still going to have aces quite a bit, and his hand just plays so poorly against it, and especially since there's only a pot size bet left on the flop. Yeah, I just don't like it.
Well, as I saw from some other hands in this match, you are definitely four betting other hands beyond aces. I don't know about five betting though, but you were
Well,
definitely
yeah, yeah, five betting. I know I'm definitely four betting hands besides aces. I mean, he was three betting like I said, like probably like 35 to 40% of the time. So
yeah. That makes it interesting. So the turn, I'll finish out the hand. I'll finish out all these hands. So the flop is queen, queen, jack. You have aces. Isildur has a wrap. You guys get it all in, and Isildur makes a straight on the turn, and he takes down a $456,000 pot. Now the next hand we have here is this the next hand? No, this is gonna be the next hand. Okay. Well, this hand's really sick. There were some really, really sick hands from some of these hand histories in here. So it seemed like in the match, Isildur started up maybe a couple 100,000, so a couple buy-ins, really nothing too significant. And now this was one of the more interesting hands I found in the thread. So
well,
your hand's actually shown here. So you open the button. Isildur three bets with, I mean, obviously Isildur's a fucking psychopath. You guys are $204,000 deep. Isildur three bets queen, 5, 9, 10 with 9, 10 of hearts. And obviously the three bet's terrible. We don't have to talk about that. So the flop comes 9. You don't remember. I wish I probably would have should have sent this hand earlier. Maybe you could have found what you had here. But
I
the
don't
flop,
think so since I'm on a new computer and I don't like have my
yeah,
hands anywhere. But
I don't think you would either. The flop's 9, 10, 5 with two clubs. So those are the three bets: queen, 5, 9, 10. He flops top. He flops all three pair. Now you decide to lead into him. 200 big blinds deep. You lead 13,000 into 18,000.
well, it's not a lead. I'm in position.
Oh, my bad. I can't read. I'm sorry. Isildur checks. You bet. Isildur check pots to 57,000, and now you flat call. The turn is a 7, so the board's 9, 10, 7, 5. Isildur check raised you on the turn, on the flop. You called. He pots the turn for 130. Well, essentially, he goes all in on the turn. And you
Yeah.
call. The river is another 7, so the board ends up running out 5, 7, 7, 9, 10. Isildur has queen, 5, 9, 10, and he ends up winning the pot for $408,000. So do you recall kind of what you had this hand by any chance?
I mean, if I had to guess, it would be something like a king queen jack 10, something of that nature.
Yeah, I think that hand makes the most sense. I mean, after a hand like this, what are you
King queen
thinking
jack
when you see
9
him?
even.
Yeah, what are you thinking when you see him show down a hand like queen 9, 5, 10, where he wins a $408,000 pot against you?
I mean, I think his play is standard and good in that. Well, besides pre-flop, obviously, but I think his post-flop play is standard and good in this hand. Um, I mean, yeah, like on the river, I'm getting like a ridiculous price. So, um, I
Yeah,
mean,
the river.
I called I called getting like what, like 40 to 1 or something.
I think the river's big. I didn't realize that essentially the turn was pretty much an all-in. So
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you had. I thought that's just hand. I thought this hand was like he bet the river for value and you called, which I thought was made it sick. But he only bet $7,000 and did $400,000 pot. You're not fully getting four cards. I don't think.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm getting even more than 40 to 1. I'm getting like 60 to 1. So yeah,
Yeah.
as long as I have any piece of that board, I don't think I can really fold because I mean he's more than 1 out of 60 times I think he has like an ace king queen jack that whiffed. So
Yeah, for sure. This hand is interesting, and I sent this to you before, and you said this might have been a misclick. So you're $257,000 deep right now, and I like saying 257,000 instead of 257 big blinds because 257,000 just sounds much more impressive. So
Agreed.
I'm just going to say the number values here because it's so crazy to look back on and see these hands. So you open the button with King, Queen, 2-4 with King, 2-4 of hearts. King, Queen, 2-4. Isildur 3-bets. Isildur's hand's not shown here, but Isildur 3-bets and you call. The flop comes Jack 3-4 with 2 hearts, so you flop. Middle pair with a backdoor straight draw, a backdoor quad draw, and second nut flush draw. Isildur bets 14,000 and 18,000, and you call. The turn's a 5, so it's Jack 3-4-5 with 2 hearts. You turn an open-ended straight draw. Your backdoor quad draw is now no good, and you still have third pair and the second nut flush draw. Isildur bets 38,000 into 46,000, and you call. The river is interesting. It's a jack. It pairs the board. So the board's Jack, Jack, 3-4-5. Isildur checks. You decide to bet here as a bluff $108,000 into $122,000.
Wait, how do you know I was bluffing?
Brian, on the river, and you bet. What are you thinking?
Okay, it was a bluff.
Yeah, so obviously you get called here. Isildur check calls. You have a pair of 4, so 2 pair Jackson 4s with a king kicker on Jack 3-4-5 and Isildur mucks. Now, what the hell is going on here?
I can only suspect that he misclicked on the river because I remember him calling really fast too, and I just remember me being like, "What the hell just happened?" Like, I mean, it was definitely one of the more shocking things that's ever happened to me. And I mean, betting $100,000 on the river and getting snap called when you're bluffing is not really fun. And then seeing the pot get shift to me is like, wait, what? Like, I mean, yeah, it was pretty unbelievable. But I mean, I can't think of anything else besides that he misclicked. I really can't.
What do you think about your bet in the river? I mean, I don't know. I guess you have
Yeah, I
showdown.
was thinking about that. Given the fact that he was probably likely to be a little bit tilted at the time, I don't think it's a good bet. Um, I do think I can have as little as just like trip jacks, or I can have a straight that I just flatted the turn with. Um, but yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I don't think it's the greatest bet.
I mean, I think you have some showdown with the 4 here, but probably. I mean, I don't know if it's enough really showdown here to warrant not betting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to get him to fold like an overpair or
Like,
some random 5 or
yeah,
something.
random 5, like 6s or 7. I don't know if he. I mean, I think he would bet blockers on the river if he had some type of 6s or 7s combo, and obviously he's 3-betting is going to be probably any 4 cards for the most part. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's the greatest bet by me, honestly.
But Brian, you won a $338,000 pot. So was it a bad bet?
Absolutely not. I got the maximum.
Exactly. You won the hand. I'm pretty sure you made a good bet.
Yeah.
We're being results oriented over here. So this hand, this might be the biggest hand I found in this session. Now, you have a $585,000 stack. And I think at this point in time, you're up about over $1 million. So obviously you had a lot of momentum. Now this hand, wow, I don't know about this play by you. So you're,
No, me neither.
yeah, this is a pretty chaotic hand. You're $341,000 deep here. So 341 big blinds, super deep. I mean, you get all in here, it's a $700,000 pot. It's just, that seems like madness. So Isildur opens, a common theme, you are out of position, you 3-bet. So you choose to 3-bet 3, 4, 6, 7, which is one of my favorite hands. It's also one of the hands I'm down the most money with. It's also a hand I advocate any podcast listener to never fold 3, 4, 7, 6. Always try to win the pot. You can make a lot of straights with it. It makes a really strong trips, and it also makes a strong 2-pair. So it's a pretty powerful hand that I think a lot of people underrate. And Isildur opens the button with Ace, Jack, 10, 5, no suit, and you 3-bet 3, 4, 6, 7. Isildur calls. The flop comes 4, 5, Jack with no flush draws. So Isildur flops top 2-pair, not the best top 2-pair on Jack 4, 5 with Ace, Jack 5, 10, and you flop bottom pair and a wrap. So you bet 13,000. Isildur looks like he makes a pretty smallish raise to $48,000, and you call. So what are you thinking here on the flop? You see bet, he raises, you call with the bottom pair and a wrap.
I mean, I think it's probably better for me to just three bet the flop, really. But we're so deep that I think I'm just trying to balance a little bit. Um, eh, because I think my flop three betting range. Well, I mean, there are a lot of hands that I want to continue with on the flop, but there's not a lot of hands that I'm really trying to stick in 340 big blinds with on the flop. So, I mean, I think it's basically what I think I was thinking at the time is I'm like I'm wanting to continue like this with like any jack, um, potentially some like an overpair with a gut shot, something like that. Um, so I think I'm just trying to balance here when I flat. But I think probably the vacuum play would be to three bet the flop and just go with it.
Well, Brian, you didn't do that. You called here, and the turn shit gets weird. So the turn comes to 10. So Jack 10, 5, 4. Isildur turns top two pair. He's got Ace Jack 10, 5. You don't really pick up any equity on the turn. You decide to pot into him for $114,000. What's going? What are you thinking there?
Well, I'm trying to rep like a hand like Jack X that like improved on the turn, either by making two pair with Jack 10 or just picking up like a high wrap, something like that, and that has a lot of equity against a hand like, I mean, if he didn't have the 10 in his hand, a hand like Jack 5 or maybe even bottom 2 on the flop.
Do
So
you think he folds Jack 5 here?
no,
Hmm.
um, I think he might fold 4-5.
So in
Um,
retrospect, you probably don't like your lead, or do you still like your lead?
I'm not a big fan of it really.
Well, in this specific situation, you pot into him for $114,000. He goes all in for 285K. I can't even imagine what was going through your mind when you had to click call there. I mean, I guess you obviously have to call. Is there any
Yeah, I mean,
merit to folding? I mean, I don't think you can fold. It's $170,000 more, but is there any merit to folding in your opinion?
no, I'm getting 3-1, and I have like
And that draw.
45% equity. It's not even close.
Well, good, okay, good. Because on the river, there comes a seven, and you make a straight, and you win a $682,000 pot. And I would like to think that during this hand was when momentum probably really shifted over into your favor, and this is probably one of the hands that powered you to the session you were able to have.
I would think so.
So
But
do you
yeah, it's funny seeing some of my lines in these hands though. I mean, I really I really haven't liked my lines in like several of them already.
I think that's like a normal thing that you know that happens when you look back on some of these hands that you played or anyone played that you're probably going to disagree with some of your plays or some of the things that you might have done in the hand. So I think it's kind of a normal thing. I was going to ask
Yeah.
you. So in that hand, now when you're in a heads up match, I haven't played too many really heads up matches. Now are you somebody that like you think like when you play a hand like that, you think that could be a turning point in the match where now you really have momentum and now you can really like kind of step on the gas pedal and really try to make a big win. I mean, like what kind of mindset does your mindset change at all during you have a big pot like that, or it's just like all right, business as usual. Let's just try to keep playing well and keep doing well here.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I think especially against someone like Victor at that time, who was very susceptible to tilting. I think that can just be a huge momentum changer. Especially like, I mean, he might look at my line in that hand and think like, oh, it's a garbage line, and like, I get, he gets it in as a favorite for an enormous pot and loses. Like, yeah, I mean, it's definitely the kind of hand that's gonna set him off a little bit and start making him play worse. So I
So
think that's I think that's the main factor in why it would be a momentum changing hand.
is there any adjustment that you might make at that point in time when you're in a match, something like that happens? You think an opponent's susceptible to altering their strategy for the worse? Are you going to be opening up your ranges? Are you maybe playing a bit more aggressive, playing more passive?
I mean, definitely just having the knowledge that he's going to be three betting more often, and as a result, four betting a bit more often, and then just like maybe folding the button with some hands that I'm not going to want to call off three bet with. Um, Also, um, I'm trying to think what else. Possibly checking to him in a few more spots out of position, and just giving him opportunities to bluff. Whereas in others, it, it, given a situation where he's not tilting, I think he might not bluff very much, and it might be better for me to value bet. Instead, it might be better to just give him some rope a little bit more often.
Okay, cool. I think that's probably a lot of people. They might be playing a heads-up match, and they might have an opponent, kind of tilted around the ropes, sort of thing like that, where then they gain a lot of momentum, but they might not be sure how to exactly take advantage of that. You know what I mean? Like what adjustments they can make to, exploit their opponent not be playing that way. So
Yeah.
it's just like a common thing that still happens. Let's see some questions here. I'm actually going to ask you before we get the next hand. So we got about five
Okay.
hands in. We got some pretty fun hands. So obviously at this point in time in the session, there I think you're about 2 million from the graph that I saw, and yeah, the hands.
How are the hands comparing to KR hands so far?
Well, these hands are much more. These hands make much more sense. Have you ever
I don't
have you
know.
seen some of the Karamon hands?
No, I haven't. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch that podcast soon though.
Well, there's the podcast we used together. We talked about some hands, but there was a podcast. Episode 4 of my podcast was I feature a lot of Karamon hands because building up to that episode, I put a lot of hands in there because he played some fun hands. He's a fun player. But in that specific episode, episode 4, is when all the weird hands came up, and he makes some interesting plays.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess if I watch or if I listen to the podcast on iTunes, I'm not gonna be able to see the hands though, right?
Well, I feel like that was the thing. I think I was always aware of that doing the earlier podcast, because eventually these would be up on iTunes. So I tried to, I think now I'm trying to be better. It's so hard when you explain a PLO hand. When I listen to a no limit podcast and someone explains a no limit hand, it's kind of easy for me to follow. But when there's 4 cards and obviously the board changes so much, you pick up so many draws and back doors and stuff like that. I think it's hard to really get the whole grasp of a hand when you explain it in just audio form. But I hope, I feel like I did an okay job before, and hopefully I can do a better job in the future on that, so people can listen and understand the hands.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna take some questions here from the Nutblocker forums where I posted that. I'm gonna be doing a thread over here. You ever been on Nutblocker before?
I've checked it out like a little bit, but not really.
Yeah, I think so. A Scareboy, Andreas Tobesen. I normally know how to pronounce last names. I don't know how to say his last name. Tobergerson. You used to say his name. Say it. You know how to say it.
Andreas Torbergson, aka Skirvush.
I remember me and you used to say that to each other. We were just like sitting there, like, "What's up, guys? This is Andreas Tobeskin, aka Skirboy." I can't do his accent.
Yeah, he says Skirboy is so funny too.
Yeah, I love the Scandi accent.
Skirvush or something.
I kind of want to have him on a podcast, but I won't understand anything he's saying.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit of a challenge, but
Be talking. I'm like, I'm not sure what you're saying, dude. But
he seems like a really cool guy, though. I know he's definitely a really motivated guy.
yeah, we talked a lot about, because obviously he's got this site, Nutblocker. It's like a PLO community. I obviously have the PLO podcast. I think the future of PLO and trying to enhance the game any way we can, or bring some entertainment to it, is something we both the viewpoint we both share, and I think that's a viewpoint I hope more people start to share at some point in time. Just trying to put out some more PLO specific content, entertainment type of stuff like that, and I think he's at least trying, coming up with some ideas to do some new things, which I think is pretty cool. So
yeah.
We talk about all kind of ideas sometimes and stuff like that. So he got some questions. He got a couple questions. So friend of the podcast and future. Did you know about this? So I proposed a challenge, heads up PLO / one-on-one basketball challenge, right?
I don't know if I even heard about this.
Well, I talked about it a couple of times. Talked about it in the last podcast, but there was like 2 people. D to them if I posted, suggested he might have some interest in it. We haven't talked more about it, but another guy who posts all the time on 2+2, Napsis, Johan, he's a Finnish kid, and by kid I mean a 30-year-old, and me and him are gonna do the challenge So
Oh, all right.
yeah, he used to play professional basketball in Finland. So,
So you're drawing dead at basketball
no, I
and
don't think I'm drawing
bettering
dead.
at
Kid,
poker.
you haven't seen me play basketball. I'm like supernova elite in my gym. Like I'm at my gym working out more playing basketball by myself or playing games than almost anyone else there.
I know you've been working really hard. You just said he was a professional basketball player, though.
He was a professional basketball player back in the day. He's like now he's in Thailand. He fell in love with some Thai girl. They're hiking up mountains. He's posting love quotes on Facebook and Twitter. He can't be bothered to keep maintain his basketball game. He's in love with PLO. I think
Well, how long ago was he a professional? Like 4 years ago?
it's a good question. In my mind I want to think 6 or 7, but I think it's somewhere between 7 and 4 years ago.
Okay. Well, good luck in the challenge. If you want any action on, I'd probably be willing to take his side.
Fuck you, man. What? Man, okay, we're also gonna do it in a random foreign country, and it's gonna be in a YouTube video. But yeah, that'll happen eventually. We're gonna try to
Sweet.
make our schedules work over the next couple months. It'll probably be somewhere in Europe. I'll go over to Europe I'll be traveling, maybe music festivaling it up, and we'll get in touch and I'll phone him up. So, but he
We'll do
asks,
it in Ibiza.
that would be sick. That'd be. I don't think I'm gonna be too raged out to play basketball then. So, Napsa says, will Brian be doing more card runners videos? Also, I want to hear the stories we are not going to hear. Well, and tips for fantasy NBA games on draft day, please. Also, how is your record in those games? So I know you're a huge daily fantasy sports player.
Yes.
You're an investor in draft day that Taylor KB, and I think he started with Wiggins. Is that correct?
Yeah. Although draft day was actually sold recently to a different company.
What?
Draft day was sold to this company, MGT.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Why Taylor sell it?
Because it wasn't performing well enough financially.
Crazy Taylor. Anyone that doesn't, Taylor
Crazy
KB,
Taylor.
longtime poker player. He's also nicknamed by me Crazy Taylor because he gets crazy when he drinks, and I don't know people. I don't know. I'm not trying to say anything else about that. So, do you still play daily fantasy sports all the time?
Yes, I do every day.
How is your track record in those games? How much money are you down? How much have you lost?
I have not lost money in baseball actually. I'm a profitable daily fantasy baseball player to date. I did lose money in basketball. Basketball a little tough.
So, do you have any tips for Napsis on fantasy NBA games?
Um,
I mean, it's like kind of. It sounds
I
like
mean,
it's kind
I think I figured some stuff out. Like when I was first in there, I wasn't very good. But here, hold on, let me I have to put this.
of okay. Brian's fixing his audio right now. Tim Stone in the live stream chat asks, why couldn't Stinger sleep that well when you came home late that night? Possible to elaborate more.
All right, so back to daily fantasy basketball tips.
Wow.
I, I
Sorry.
mean, obviously just playing players in the right matchups is very very important. Like I mean, this past year, if you had guys going against the Sixers or the Lakers, they were pretty much locks. So you just got to follow the defense versus position stats, and that's the first place to go. Also, you're looking for guys who have increased opportunity, whether because of an injury or just because the coach is like making comments saying he wants to play a guy more. Like say, I mean, I guess Taj Gibson was playing the fourth quarter all year, but say like Carlos Boozer was playing fourth quarters, and then all of a sudden you realize the last 3 games, like Taj Gibson's playing the fourth, and his price hasn't caught up to it yet. That's the kind of guy you want to target, or just guys who are filling in for injuries, or I mean, you know, you want to try to fit as many of the elite guys as you can who have good matchups, but then filling it out with value guys who generally are people who are playing up an opportunity and getting more minutes than usual. Minutes are key.
Wow. Wow, that's a good strategy. Thank you. Are you planning on doing any more car runners videos?
Yes, I am actually. I might even make a couple this week before I head out to Vegas. But now I actually just purchased this headset yesterday. I was without a headset, which was one of my excuses for why I hadn't made any yet. And also, um, it's just a little bit weird when I can't really film myself playing. Like, I mean, I had taken some footage way back when I was like playing on PokerStars, like during like the W Coop last year, but I guess I never made any videos of that. I might have the footage. I mean, I should still have the footage though, so um, maybe I can make some off that. Or I've been I, I, I've been trying to kind of mentally keep tabs on some hands that I've played. That would be interesting hands that I could just bring up my Hold'em manager and make videos like that. So yeah, I do plan on making some in the future, like potentially soon, but probably not while I'm in Vegas for the summer. So it's either going to be in the next couple days or after that. But but yes, I do plan on making more.
Well, good. I'm sure the people are excited to hear that. I'm sure they enjoy hearing videos by you. You have a very soothing voice that people can fall asleep to at night. Not quite as good as Phil Galfon's voice falling asleep
No,
to, but
nobody's voice can be as soothing as Phil's. No way.
have you ever fell asleep listening to his videos?
Yes, I have.
Do you think you've fallen asleep the most listening to his videos than anyone else?
Probably.
I
I
think that's
also went through I also went through a phase where I was like getting big in the chess and I was like grinding like chess videos. They were pretty easy to
all the curtains videos on what was the website? Lego
uh,
Poker.
yeah, some of those and then some on chess.com.
Those videos, the chess videos, those put me to sleep so fast. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah,
Or when I put on
it's really good.
or when
There've been periods of time where I'd put on a video like every night to fall asleep. Now I just like pass out watching like basketball on the couch every night and wake up at like 6 a.m. and wonder what the hell happened.
well, I think one thing people don't know about you, Brian, this is one of your hidden talents, by the way, is um is that you're actually really good at falling asleep anywhere. So we're at a
I,
nightclub, you're capable of falling asleep. We're at a bar, you're literally capable of falling asleep right there.
we're in the middle of playing a game of NBA 2K. I literally fell asleep one time.
No, you've fallen asleep when we were playing an NBA 2K game for money 5 to 6 times. Now, some might say after the first couple of times I was taking advantage of you. No, I wasn't. You wanted to play the games.
I did want to play. Yeah, I mean,
You're like, let's play in our game. I'm like, you're sleeping though. You're like, let's play. I'm like,
oh well, I guess my best one was when I was at a final table of a scoop event and I fell asleep.
what? Really?
Ever heard that? Yeah,
No. What happened?
it was last year. This $2,000 stud tournament. I was down in the Dominican Republic at the Grand Villa Principe, all-inclusive resort, where I was playing the scoops, and I was playing the scoops every day. So I went to their dinner buffet, and I had a couple glasses of wine. I was just hanging out in the lobby, and then at one point I decided to head back to my room on a break, and then there was one break where I was just like I decided to like lie down for a second in the bed because I was getting tired. It was probably like 4 a.m. or something, and next thing I knew, I passed out, and I woke up like 2 hours later, and I had like 12 missed calls and stuff because I had people I actually had bets against where we were like cross booking in the scoop events, so I just totally screwed myself over in those. Yeah, I mean it's a funny story, but it's not really funny in terms of how much equity I gave up doing it.
Well, one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life, dude.
But yeah, bottom line, I'm pretty good at falling asleep. Not
And
a problem
wine,
for me.
yeah, wine really makes you go to sleep too.
Yeah, I mean, I had nice big dinner, some wine, and then yeah, I didn't see it coming. It just it happened.
Now, another hidden talent of yours, maybe not hidden as much anymore, is you love to dance, right?
I do like to dance a lot. Yeah.
So, what do you have any tips out there for a lot of poker players? Because most poker players are shy; they don't really want to go on the dance floor. Do you have any tips or maybe potentially a move you'd like to show people right now on the live stream they're watching, or in the podcast they're watching us later?
Um,
Can
a move to show people. I
I
mean,
have a move. If you don't want to show them your move, I have a move too that I remember you doing often.
what's my move? Here, I want to see this.
Okay. Oh, this is a move I remember. Hold on, kid. Let me show you the move. You might like this tank top I'm rocking, by the way.
I already saw it. Yep.
The Bulls. All right, so
Yes,
here's your
sir.
move, right? So people on the podcast listening, they can't hear this, but this is So this is the stinger move when he starts dancing. He's like moving. He's like he like looks at you and like starts smiling like this. Is that what your move? That's your move, right?
I don't like move my hands like this though. I don't like moving around in a circle.
Yes, you
It's
do.
more
You're
it's
like
more like
no, no, no. You do not do that. Don't fucking lie to people.
I do.
No, you don't. Hey, that's not you. You're like this.
No,
That's you.
I don't move my hands like this. Come on.
Yes, you do.
No.
You're like a.
No, I don't.
Well, let's see a move. Show me a move that you got right now. What are you working on lately, Brian? You got a new move for me? Oh yes. Okay, Brian's dancing. Okay.
I don't know if this is gonna work too well.
You gotta just keep talking.
I don't know if this is gonna work too well. The webcam doesn't really like fit me here. Oh.
Wait.
Wait for it.
Okay.
I do got my headset on too.
Let's see it.
There's no music on though. You gotta put some music on.
Hold on, Brian. Funny you should ask that. Let me find a quick music thing real quick. Quick music thing. I'm really excited for this. People can see you dance because I love watching you dance. Um, hmm,
I'm
hmm.
also very sober right now. This is gonna be weird.
Yeah, might be a bit weird. It's okay though.
I also still kind of look like a.
Hold on, Ryan. Wait, they can't see you. You gotta talk. Okay, wait. You gotta put on music. They can't see you.
Oh shit, yeah.
You gotta put on a song real quick.
Alright, let's put on some music.
Okay.
Can, can you hear that?
No.
No?
We can see you moving. We don't need to hear the music. We just want to see you move, buddy.
You can't hear the song?
No.
Damn it.
You can just
Well, you can
dance.
see me. You can see me dance anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, I can't say nothing. This is weird without music, though.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've seen enough dancing.
From LA to Tokyo, I'm so fancy.
Oh, please stop.
Alright. I'm done dancing. I'm done. Alright.
Oh my God, you're good. I forgot you like to sing like I do too.
I love singing. I don't really know the words of that song all that well though.
So
I
you're
gotta get them
listening
down.
to Iggy Azalea, "I'm So Fancy." Is that what it sounded like?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Thank you, Brian, for showing us those dance. You actually dance pretty similar. I'm surprised. I thought you would have taken a dance class to get some new moves by now.
I have not taken any dance classes, unfortunately.
I've been taking some dance classes.
Well, maybe once I fall in love with a woman, maybe she'll send me to dance class to learn a few moves.
Are you in love with a woman right now?
I've been going on a few dates recently. I wouldn't call it love just yet, but yeah, some girls who I've enjoyed their company quite a bit, almost as much as I enjoy your spirit hoodie.
Do you want me to show you a spirit hood dance that I can show the people watching on the live stream? They might be able to learn.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to show people a spirit hood dance, right? So a spirit hood, this is what spirit hood is, right? It's really fluffy. And what you do is when you see people at a spirit hood, you go rub on their face. And like girls, you always rub on girls. You rub on another dude's face, you got to be really fucked up. That's your excuse. But you rub on people and you like do, woo, woo. You give a real serious looking. You don't make those noises. That's weird. But I advocate everyone get a spirit hood. It's one of the best things you can have. It's got paws. It's got a secret compartment right here for whatever you might have. You know, gum, mints. I don't want to dance the spirit anymore. Zenfish
All
in the
right.
chat says this is the weirdest moment of the day. I'm guessing it was when you were dancing though.
Are we losing any viewers yet?
gained a couple of viewers during that dance off, man. I don't know. People probably want to leave watching you dance.
All right.
This is like the benefit of watching on the live stream or watching on video is you get to see, like, when you're watching this on iTunes 6 months from now, you didn't get to see Brian Hastings' dance, and you didn't get to learn anything from his dance moves. But
No, there's definitely some educational value in there, whether it's positive or negative educational value.
I mean, I think you need to make like a dancing video for card runners. How to dance? We could do something like that.
Let me talk to Taylor about that and see what he thinks.
Well, you can put it on the Join Your Run YouTube channel if you don't want. If Taylor doesn't want it, okay. The next best YouTube channel in poker, Join Your Run YouTube channel.
That's right.
Now that Zenfish pops in the comments, he's got a couple questions here as well. His
Okay.
look, his has some good questions. So, your 5-year plan: are you sticking with poker, or do you see yourself moving on to another career?
For the moment, I am sticking with poker. I still really enjoy playing. I I'm not quite sure what else I'd want to do. I've had some interest in computer science and like worked on some stuff online at some points, but obviously the earning potential is pretty capped there. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still really like poker and I'm pretty good at it, and I've worked pretty hard at it over the years, and so I see myself sticking with it for now. But in 5 years, I'm not totally sure. But right now, I would think I'll still be playing poker.
That's good to hear. Another question he has is, do you still work on your game now, or are you taking a more relaxed approach?
I mean, I work on my game some. I wouldn't say it's quite as much as I did at times in the past, but I mean, definitely still, especially if I have a rough session, I will go over the hands I played in the session and hold a manager and try to see where I went wrong. Also, I have a few friends that I talk strategy with fairly regularly, so maybe not as regularly as I used to, um, but yeah, I still work on my game some, but I wouldn't say quite as much at this point. I mean, I'd say I think my default PLO game is pretty good. I think I've worked on my no limit game a lot more than my PLO game in the past year or so. I mean, mostly just like watching videos. I've watched a lot of run at once videos. Haven't been doing that so much recently, but it was, for a while, like over the winter, I watched quite a few. Um, Lafort, who you just had on your podcast, his videos are awesome. He's made some great no limit videos.
I know his videos are so. I didn't even play to him, but I like listening to his videos. They were pretty good.
Yeah, pretty soothing voice too.
He's got a very smoothing voice. There's a very smart yet manly sounding voice.
He does.
I wouldn't. I'm not sure if I'd want to. If so, sometimes me and you'd go out to a bar and we'd go talk to girls.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if I'd want to go to a bar with LaFord with the intention of having to pick up one girl because I think all the
Because
girls would want.
you think that I'll want him.
Well, I mean, maybe like two or three out of like 100 might, but yeah, a couple might. You know what I mean? If they like a more gentle yet if they like a more gentle guy, I think they go for LaFort. If they like a more degenerate, a bit louder, a bit more in your face, then I think they might go for me.
Well, yeah, I mean he's gentle, but he's got that build. I mean, he's I mean he's a very gentle personality, but he can also just kick anybody's ass probably.
Are we? I smell a prop bet here.
What kind of profit?
Prop bet. I'll get to LaFort size in 6 months.
Oh wow, how big is he?
It's pretty big, man. Big guy. He eats he eats 152 times a day. Oh, well, once every 3 minutes, he told me. So he eats a new meal once every 3 minutes. It's crazy. I didn't know how he did it, but
Wait,
he
is that real?
he explained on Skype. He eats 152 times a day. He eats once every 3 minutes.
What?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why he doesn't play a lot of poker because he's eating all the time.
What does he do if he like goes out to a bar?
I don't know. We need to. Before, are you out there? Can we get you in a guest in the Before, you there? No, I don't think he's there. He might be out there. We need him. We might be able to pull him into a guest in here in the Google Hangout and you can ask him this question. How does he do it? I'll ask him on Skype right now if he wants to, if he's interested in coming in the chat. Well, Zenfish also actually asked, what motivates you these days? This is a good question. This is what I like to ask everyone. What motivates you these days? What are your poker motivation? What are your poker goals? What are your life goals?
I mean, I think poker-wise, I mean, like I said earlier in the podcast, I just tend to be very competitive in general, and I think with the way the games have evolved, I mean, it's a lot more of a challenge than it was at one point. I mean, I think everybody's gotten better, so I think just the fact that it's harder to win these days is definitely very motivating. Um, I mean, I am motivated by money too. I mean, I think I'm probably not as rich as most listeners would think I am. So, I mean, money still very much matters to me, and I can't. I mean, I can't just not make any money and be set for life or anything. So, um, that is motivating. But I think my primary motivator is just competitiveness. I I really enjoy playing and winning and being good enough to succeed, which I think is a lot of the reason I've gotten into daily fantasy too, because it's it's very it's very competitive. There are a lot of really tough, like very smart daily fantasy players out there, and it's something that I'm less sure if I'm a winning player or not. So I think that kind of challenge is exciting to me, and I think it's also some of the reason that I've always liked learning new games in poker.
I was going to say that. I think you're very challenged. You like a good challenge. You want to learn something new, and I think that is kind of more interesting to you than maintaining maybe your skill level at one thing when you could be learning something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've never liked just like being complacent and doing the same thing over and over. It's why I like trying to play all forms of poker. Um, yeah.
And I mean, you didn't really say any goals in there. I mean, like, so would you say like you have some specific short-term goals, with poker?
I mean, I would definitely like to keep winning World Series of Poker bracelets. I'm planning on going out there in about a week or so and playing probably like 20 or 25 events, and yeah, hopefully things break right for me and I can win my second. That'd be really awesome. That's kind of a goal, I guess. Um, Otherwise, I mean, it's really tough to set like total like financial goals or competitive goals. Just playing on untracked Euro sites. I mean, yeah, it'd be different if I was like playing on stars and like I knew I could put in as much volume as I wanted to. But I mean, there's times that I log into the site I play on and there's not really games. So
Hmm.
so yeah, it's really tough. I mean, I think my goals are more just try to put in a decent amount of volume, like as I mean, maybe not as much as I possibly can, but like I've been trying to shoot for at least like 1,000 to 1,500 hands a day recently when I play.
That's pretty good for
Um,
you. That's really good for you, actually.
yeah, because I mean, you can only play 6 tables at a time maximum. Um, so yeah, I think I had a day the other day where I played I think close to 2,500, which is pretty solid.
I'm pretty sure you sent me that session. I was proud of you, my friend. You put in that many hands. I don't even care if you win money. You play that many hands. You know me. I like hands. I don't care about profit. Fuck profit. You win money. I don't care. You play a lot of hands. I like you. I'm in.
Well, I played a lot of hands and I won money, so it was a good day.
Hey, it's a sick day. I think with goals, poker goals. I think as you're an American player now, your goals are different than what they once were. I remember a lot of times my old goals might have been, I wanted to play 8 hours a day. Then eventually my goals changed to where I wanted to try to play my best and win money, maybe not even mattering how many hours I played. And one thing I actually wrote about in a blog post was, as a poker player, how do you measure productivity, right? So as poker players, I guess our overall goal is to win money. But there'll be some days where you might play 1 hour and you'll make, you know, 10 buy-ins and you don't play any more poker that day. Well, was it a productive day? The next day you played 8 hours, but you lost one buy-in. Was that a productive day? Like, you know what I mean? So that was something I still struggle with sometimes. I feel like I'm not being productive if I play 3 hours in a day and I do really well when I feel like I could be playing more hours in a day, if that makes any type of sense.
Yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, I think my goals are more like process oriented than results oriented at this point. It's like I'm trying to play like that certain amount of hands, and I'm trying to play well in the hands I play, and then after that, the results can take care of themselves. But I've always been the type of person also that who I play more when I'm winning, just kind of naturally, because like I mean, if I start playing a session, I play 500 hands, and I'm running like complete crap and just losing, like I'm not really having a whole lot of fun doing that. So a lot of the time I'll just quit and come back later in that circumstance. Whereas if I'm playing 500 hands and I'm winning a lot, I'm almost certainly going to keep playing for quite a while because I'm feeling good. I'm enjoying the winning feeling, feeling confident, probably playing well.
Yeah, I think that was one thing you talked about to me, and I kind of picked up on it a bit. I'm still not that good at it though. Was you'd be playing sessions, you'd be winning money, and then you keep playing. I'm like, when you quit, you're like, oh, when I'm winning, I like to play longer. When I'm quitting, I like to quit session. When I'm losing, I like to quit. And I was like, that was obviously that very opposite of my mindset or my approach during those days. And I think that was one of the reasons why I had such a good month. That month we were kind of staying together was those sessions where I was winning, I just kept playing. I was like, fuck this, I'm just going to keep playing. I'm going to try it out. And then I'd have these like monster winning sessions. And
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and that was
Yeah.
one thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, as a result of that, I've always just tended to have bigger winning sessions than my losing sessions. So like maybe like a typical losing session right now, I'll lose like maybe like 2K or 3K, and then but like a lot of winning sessions, I'll be able to go off for like 8K or 10K right now because like I'm just playing I'm playing a lot longer when I'm winning and just giving myself that opportunity to book big wins.
yeah, I think that's a smart thing. Wise Brian Incognito, turn around, sunshine some light on your face. I think why you're actually not bright is that if you turned your camera, if you sat on the other side of your table, it'd actually be better.
You think so?
Yeah, because the light would be shining on you, not against you.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm really glad we
Yeah.
thought about this 2 hours later.
I could try moving my computer around. I mean,
Let's see. Let's give it a shot. People want to see your face. They like you, Brian. They think you're pretty. Pretty guy like
aw.
you.
Well, thank you, people.
Cute, funny, smart, witty,
My,
big.
my table's kind of a mess, so it's gonna take me a minute here, but
What happened to your personal cleaner?
who, Brittany?
Yeah.
She hasn't been around.
Brittany, I miss her. Where'd she go?
I know she misses you too. She was so
Brittany.
excited when you said you were thinking about coming here.
Yeah. Well, I got back together with my girlfriend.
Yeah,
Erin, I love her.
I'm happy you did.
No, you're not. You might
I
be
mean,
though.
I would have liked to see you.
I would have liked to play basketball with you. I wanted to go play some hoops against the Fort Lauderdale guys and fuck them up, or get fucked up in the process. Let's see. You're going. You're going. This is actually good. Another somebody asked you a question, but you're going to World Series for the whole summer, right?
Well, I have a bachelor party in New York City next week,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not gonna be there for this first start of the World Series this first week. But after that, yes, I will be
You're,
there the remainder of the time.
you're gonna let people see your alcohol shelf you have over there. I remember that shelf quite well.
Oh yeah, wow, this is so much better.
Ah, Brian. Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, good to see you. Wow,
Hey.
this is like so much better.
Yeah, now we can see you, my friend. Thank you.
I don't look like a serial killer or a child pornographer or anything anymore. This is great.
Very debatable. With those
Very
glasses on,
debatable.
I don't know. You could pass for a child pornographer.
You think?
Yes. Yes. I don't. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you can. Who knows? Not to see it.
Sorry, still getting comfy here.
Does Brittany look like her name implies? What does her name
No.
imply? Nuke then 00BS asked, does Brittany look like her name implies? I would be willing to guess. Not one person in the chat would be able to guess what Brittany looks like unless they've met her before.
No, they would have no idea unless they play poker in South Florida.
Yeah, they would have no idea what Brittany looks like. I think you told me about Brittany. I didn't even think she looked like what she looked like.
No.
Yeah. Brittany, what's she doing?
She's going back to school.
Is she still working at the casino?
She is.
Cool.
But yeah, she's starting to take classes like starting in like late June,
Oh, good
going to
for
become a radiologist.
Oh yeah, good for her, man. That's cool. Brittany, I miss her though. She always used to take care of the condo, make sure it was pretty. All right. Ask one more question from Nutblocker. Escorpion at Escorpion de Tejas asks, what events will Stinger be playing at this WSOP? Has Stinger gotten his degree yet? Has Stinger played in untracked Macau games? We'll start with those three. What events are you planning on
Okay.
playing at this World Series? One drop?
No one drop. I am going to play the 50K Players Championship though. I sold a package for 8 10K events that I'm going to play. Basically most of the 10K events that exist after I go there, except I have a conflict. I can't play the heads up tournament, unfortunately.
That's your shit.
I mean,
Former bracelet winner.
yeah, I know. I played it last year to defend my title, but I mean, in reality, it's like it's one of the hardest tournaments in the field, and uh, well, it conflicts with two things actually. So it conflicts with the Dealer's Choice tournament, which is going to be really fun, and I really want to play. It's only a 1500, but it's just going to be the coolest format ever.
Do you
And
remember? Wait, you brought up a bad memory for me actually. You made me sad for a second. So do you remember when you played that heads up WSOP tournament and you won?
yeah,
It was very no coincidence. You were staying at my house very briefly before that in Vancouver,
yeah.
and there was a time where you messaged me and asked me if I wanted to get like a piece of you of some things,
Oh,
and and that was one of the only events you didn't I didn't get anything in of you and you won the fucking bracelet.
yeah. I didn't sell any action in that. I just swapped. I swapped with like 5 people or so.
Oh man, that was sad. I was sad, and by sad I mean I was still happy. I was doing really well, but it brought back a memory of sadness for me though.
Sorry, bro.
Sorry, I'm done. I'm done being sad. Go ahead. Go on. What events are you playing, Brian?
So yeah, I'm playing a bunch of the 10K events, including the PLO. I'm not playing Limit Hold'em either, just because I think it's a boring game and b a tough tournament. Um, Unfortunately, I'm missing out on the 10K Deuce to Seven Triple Draw tournament, which is going to be before I get into town. Really wanted to play that, but can't. Um, oh, and the 8 10Ks does not include the main event also, because if I sell action for that, it's going to be separately. So.
You
Um,
you mentioned you sold action, right? And a thread in 2+2 the marketplace, correct?
I did, yeah.
I think someone posted in the NBG high stakes thread that like why is Brian selling action? Is he busto? And then I commented right away because you know me, I gotta comment when someone says something about you. You're probably not busto. You just at this point in time in your career, you don't mind decreasing the variance. You don't mind selling off some pieces of yourself and something like that. I mean, what was the motivation for you to make that thread and sell the action like that?
I mean, there's a lot of variance in $10,000 tournaments. I mean, and like I said, I've had a couple of tough years in poker. I mean, I'm not trying to hide anything there. So yeah, just at this point in my career, I'm not trying to take $10,000 worth of action in any given tournament. So I'm keeping, I believe, 20, somewhere to 20 to 25% in all of those. Um, I forget if it's 25 or 22 now, because somebody like last minute wanted to buy action. Um,
Did you
but yeah,
markup for those?
yes, I did.
I don't know how. I mean, I don't really know too much about tournament selling action. I just see all these people like selling packages with this insane markup. Obviously, every tournament player is in makeup. There may be like I think you say there's like 475 players that play tournaments for a living, and like four aren't in makeup. So obviously all those guys are in makeup. They all sell action, kind of like that. So I'm not quite sure how it works. How you choose makeup? How do you decide how did you decide what price to charge for makeup?
It's markup, not makeup. But
Markup? Yeah, what? Dang, man, I don't know. Not a look, man.
oh, I'm gonna be off picture because I gotta grab my keyboard. But
Sure.
Yeah, so basically, I talked to a friend who ended up buying the majority of my package, and just kind of talked about what's fair and used my own estimating based on when I had played these events previously, just thinking about how tough the events are and what kind of edge I think I could have. So, I mean, when you're selling at markup, I mean, the idea is generally you're splitting just trying to split the profits and the risk 50-50 with the investors. So basically, so I charge 1.1 for the 10Ks. So basically saying that I have about a 20% ROI. Um, that's what that implies. So I think that was a pretty fair markup to charge. I mean, people do get blasted for selling at too high markup in the marketplace, and so I mean, I've had some people tell me like, "Oh, why'd you sell so cheap? You could have sold for more." But I'm not trying to like scam anybody. I'm just trying to sell at a fair price, basically. What I think. Split the risk accordingly with investors.
It's good to hear. I'm pretty sure you could have sold for more than 1.1.
Yeah, but keep in mind these are like small field 10Ks. They're not like I mean a lot of the people who are selling at really high markup are selling at like are selling for like $1,500 no limit events. I
Hmm.
mean if I was selling action for those, which I'm not, I would sell those at a lot higher markup too. But
What are you doing over there, buddy? Finger's adjusting his microphone currently right now.
still getting used to this headset. Sorry.
Okay, man. It's okay. Have you gotten your degree yet from Cornell?
Yes, I did. I graduated in December of 2010, degree in economics from College of Arts and Sciences.
That's awesome. Have you played in any games in Macau?
No, I have not been to Macau yet. I would like to check it out at some point, but I mean, again, playing like nosebleed games is not really on my radar right now. So
I already know the answer to this question, and obviously this guy doesn't know much about you then. He says, were you always a PLO player, or did you transition over like everyone else?
yeah, obviously started out playing No Limit like pretty much everybody else. I played only No Limit for the first maybe like 3 or 4 years. I played poker, and then PLO games started getting more popular, and I learned the game and ended up playing more PLO after that.
You did well at No Limit before,
I
right?
did,
You were playing high stakes?
yeah. I mean, I probably had made over $1 million playing poker before I even played a PLO hand. So
Must be nice. Congratulations, my friend.
thanks.
Very proud of you. How does Stinger balance life on and off the felt?
Um, I think, I mean, like I've said with my approach playing poker right now, I mean, certainly gonna be playing more hours when I'm playing like live in Vegas in the summer. So I think playing live poker is important to get that kind of sample size. Well, and there's just a lot of good tournaments to play in Vegas, um, but yeah, I mean, on a weekly basis, when I'm here in Florida, I'm probably playing online something like 4 or 5 hours a day, I would say.
Whoa,
Um,
really?
yeah.
Dang, that's more than you were playing before for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I've been playing quite a bit more recently. Well, like
Have
I
you,
like I said, I'm trying to play like at least 1,000 or 1,500 hands a day. So,
that's,
I mean, generally hitting that goal most days.
yeah, I'm glad you're getting back into the swing of things a bit and putting a bit more volume. I think obviously that's going to help you coming for World Series as well. You're going to be more in the poker groove, and
Yeah,
hopefully you'll be a bit sharper. And I guess as you're putting in these longer sessions now, obviously during World Series there's going to be super long sessions. So maybe that might be able to help you a bit just getting your endurance. I don't think endurance necessarily is the thing you need to train for in poker, but I guess it can't really hurt just being used to playing longer hours a day.
yeah, definitely. And just being able to focus at the live table is important because I mean I'm definitely guilty at times of just like playing around with my phone or iPad or whatever too much, playing live. I mean it's slow, but I want to try to make it a point to be a little bit more focused this summer and
What do you think
try.
about guys that play on their iPad? I wrote a tweet about this the other day, something about people that play on their iPad for 8 hours or something. Like, what do you think about those people? Do you think you should do that? Do you think they're annoying? Do you hate them? Do you love them? Do you not care, not have an opinion about them?
What, like people like when they're at a live poker table, just like playing games on their iPad?
Yeah, they're just playing on their iPad the whole entire session.
I mean, it doesn't bother me. They could do what they want, but I mean, there's definitely like recreational players who play poker for the social aspect, and it's obviously not being very social. So, I personally don't try to do that, and I mean, I don't think it's the best thing if you're like, especially playing in like a cash game where like recreational players can get up and leave anytime um, if they're not having fun. But whatever, in a tournament, it's whatever. I don't think it really matters.
Will you be wearing a scarf at any of the World Series events this summer, Brian?
I have no plans currently to wear a scarf. Are you planning on wearing a scarf at any World Series events this
If
summer?
I play anything at Rio, I'm wearing a scarf. Yes, I'm wearing a scarf. I'm bringing my iPad. I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm bringing a backpack. I'm wearing sweatpants. I'm bringing sandals. I'm wearing a tank top, the Joe Ingram one Eat Sleep PLO tank top, and of course, what else am I going to do? Sunglasses. Of course, I'm going to wear sunglasses. I might bring a fucking flag for my back. What else can I do? What are the most ridiculous things a live tournament player can do with himself? Wear a flag and a scarf.
You definitely got to get some noise canceling headphones.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You gotta get the big
Uh,
headphones. Okay.
Sunglasses,
Sunglasses, scarf, iPad, flag.
flag. uh, bring some of your own food.
Oh, All American Dave.
Well, yeah, All American Dave's there too.
Of course. You want
But
to be playing open face on your iPad.
yeah, play Open Face on your iPad.
Hmm. What else can you do? What are the most like ridiculous live things I guess people do? I guess in a way these aren't ridiculous. It makes sense why people
Yeah.
it makes sense why people do them. But I really want to wear a scarf like at a live poker game though. I think it'd be fun and tell people I'm from Norway. Then they won't really fold to me. I don't
Is
know.
that good? Is that a good thing for you?
The thing is, that might be a bad thing because, yeah, I'm not, I don't know, I'm a crazy player sometimes. I haven't played live poker in a long time. I played that PLO live tournament at the Horseshoe like a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to jump off the window because it was,
Yeah, I remember you saying that. And yeah, I tend to feel the same way about pouring live PLO.
yeah, it was crazy. I like made it
Like,
open
there's a good like 25-25 PLO game down here in Florida, and I haven't played it like at all.
because it's full ring.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm working on my hand strength for basketball right now, right?
yeah. You got
See?
some grip thingy.
Yeah, this thing really helps, man. I've been working on it. Now my grip's getting a bit stronger. I can almost palm a ball. I'm not actually sure if this ties into palming a ball, but I'm getting better at palming.
That's another reason I suck at basketball. I have small hands, so I have no hope of ever being able to palm a ball.
Confirm, deny, small hands equal small.
I'm gonna have to say not always true in my
Well,
experience.
this actually ties in with that story we're not supposed to talk about.
All right, let's get to some more hands. We gotta go over some hands here.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We got a couple more hands left to show on that note. Why does the hands always come after that anyway? What's up with that? All right. So, Brian, in this hand, we are back at 501K. Brian Hastings versus Isildur1. Epic $4.2 million session recap, hand history review, recap, strategy training video. And you're 117. You have 1 point. Holy crap.
Yeah, I got the big stack there.
You have 1.1 million at this table, obviously running extremely well.
Yes.
And so Isildur opens, you 3-bet, Isildur 4 bets, you 5-bet. Now, Isildur has a very questionable hand to be 4-betting and 5-betting with. He has the Queen 10, 7, 8 with Queen 7 of spades.
Yeah, at this point in the match, he was just tilted and pretty much trying to bloat pots with anything reasonable, or not even that reasonable.
Yeah, I think his play's terrible. Obviously, you had doubles. You have aces, ace, ace, king, 9 with the ace and 9 of spades. I mean, why wouldn't you have that hand? So you 5-bet,
Yeah.
Isildur calls. The flop comes Queen 9-4 with all clubs. No one has any club. Isildur has a 10 of clubs, but no one has a flush. You go
Yeah.
ahead and jam it all in for. Actually, I don't know why I chose this hand. It's not really interesting. Oh, I chose this hand to show Isildur's terrible pre-flop play. Okay. So
Yeah.
Isildur, obviously, he 4 bets Queen 10, 7, 8, and he calls a 5 bet. I think calling the 5 bet is okay once you 4 bet, but 4 betting is probably pretty terrible.
Yeah, I think you have to call the 5 bet, but I think the 4 bet is awful.
Well, luckily you win the hand, so
Yes.
all's fair in love and hip hop.
Yeah, he actually got it in okay.
Yeah, he had top pair and gut shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but he lost the hand anyway. Cause okay, whoa, what's happening here? Okay, so this table you have 959,000 at, and Isildur has 245K, so you're 243, 45, 44 big blinds deep here. You open the button, Isildur 3 bets, you 4 bet, Isildur 5 bets. So you have Queen Queen Jack 10 with Queen Jack of diamonds, and Isildur decides to make a very light 5 bet here with Ace 5 7 9 double suited. What do you think about
Yeah.
his 5 bet pre-flop here, 245 big blinds deep, out of position?
Not a fan of it, especially because I'm just at this point in the match, I'm probably not giving him credit for having a super tight aces heavy range. So I don't think there's even really like I don't think he's getting me to fold like any kind of like ace high hands or anything. That would be the only merit to it really would be if he thought I was like 4 bet folding with like an ace king jack 10 type hand. Um, I don't think given his play at this point in the match I was going to do that. So yeah, not a big fan of it.
Yeah, at this point in time, this is getting closer to the end of the match. You're up a couple $1 million at this point. And what do you think
Yeah,
about your 4 bet pre standard here with Queen Queen Jack 10 with Queen Jack of diamonds,
I
245
think
big blinds deep?
yeah, I think given how often he was 3 betting, which was way too much, yeah, I think it's standard.
Okay, yeah, I thought so too. The flop comes Jack 5-2 with 2 diamonds. So you flop. You have top pair, but you have a blocker to top pair, but you also have queens and you have a flush draw. Isildur has Ace 5 7 9, so he flops middle pair with uh, backdoor straight draw, a couple backdoor straight draws, backdoor quad, backdoor full house draw. Not a very good flop, obviously, for Ace 5 7 9, Jack 5 2 with 2 diamonds. He goes ahead and decides to put the rest of his money in $163,000. Why? You obviously call. You have an overpair and you have a flush draw. What do you think about his jam here? I guess.
I think once he gets to the flop, he just kind of has to jam if he has any kind of equity whatsoever. So like, I mean, he still has some fold equity. Yeah, I think it's the best play once he gets to the flop. I'm really curious actually what my plan was. I mean, I have to assume I was stacking off on any jack high flop, but um, yeah, I'm like a little bit surprised I didn't even just like stick the rest of the money in pre-flop. um,
Hmm.
but I would think my plan was I was waiting for like a flop in which I had like an overpair or something.
I think I was going to ask you, what's your plan here? Like you said, if the flop was Jack 5-2, no flush draw, maybe a backdoor flush draw for yourself. Like, obviously, I guess when you call this 5 bet, it's going to be some flops. It's really hard to fold. You're going to have an overpair on. So, like,
Yeah, I think if it's Jack 5-2 with 2 hearts, I think I'm just getting it in anyway. I think. I mean, I think if it's 8-7-3, or that's a bad example because that has a little bit of a draw for me, like 7-6-2 with 2 hearts, I think I'm still probably getting it in.
hmm, well,
But
well,
obviously hard to put myself in my shoes from
well,
that long ago in a match where the money was flying so fast that I was just clicking.
yeah. I was looking. I have a screen share on right now, and I pulled up a new tab. I was looking to see if I had any like porn links that were like favorites or top things. Luckily, I don't. So that's good. No one knows.
Good work.
So, a couple more hands here. This hand, man, you run so good, Stinger. For fuck's sake, man. 252 big blinds deep here. Isildur's hand is not shown. You open Isildur 3 bets. You 4 bet with one of my favorite hands, 4, 5, 7, 8, double suited, and Isildur
Fizzles.
calls. You're 250 big blinds deep here. The flop comes 10-3-3. Isildur checks and you bet 18,000 into 54,000. So about 1/3 potish. Isildur check calls.
In
The
fact,
turn
exactly 1/3 pot.
the turn's good at math. The turn's a 6 of hearts, which is like one of the sickest cards ever for you because it gives you a
Yep.
backdoor. It brings your backdoor flush draw in, and it also gives you a backdoor wrap on the flop, so you have a wrap on the turn. Isildur checks, you go ahead and bet 72,000 into 90,000. Isildur check calls. The river is a 4, so it's 3, 3, 4, 3, 3, 4, 6, 10, and you have 4, 5, 8, 7. So you river the nut straight, and only better hands being a full house. Isildur checks, you put them all in for his last $135,000. Isildur calls, and you win a $500,000 pot. His hand isn't shoved down. So what you're thinking here going in, you choose to 5-bet this hand. Obviously at this point in time you've seen him, or you 4-bet this hand. Obviously at this point in time you've seen Isildur make some pretty light 5-bets as well. And I'm guessing you think your hand plays pretty well against a 5-bet if you were to get 5-bet. But I'm not sure how often he was 5-betting. So why do you decide to 4-bet this hand pre? And I think the flop and turn player probably standard. The turn might have some merit in checking back, but I guess just take me through pre-flop here.
I mean, I think it's really good for my range for me to have some low hands in my 4 betting range, and I think it's also the kind of thing where if I end up winning a big pot with this kind of hand after 4 betting it, it's the kind of thing that's going to tilt him even more. Um, so I think that's one solid reason for doing it. But I also think it's just a good range play to have some lower hands, and obviously this is about as good of a low card hand as you can have. Um, so I think it's a very viable hand to include in a 4 betting range.
So I think the flop sizing, is a standard size, I guess. I don't really think people were really doing 1/3 potish on board textures like this back then in heads up match. But turn play here, you think the turn's pretty much an automatic barrel, correct?
I think I have to barrel the turn. I mean, like against anything but like overpair flush draw, I'm an equity favorite basically. Um, or I mean, or like a 10 and a flush draw or whatever, assuming his flush draw is bigger. But I just have so many outs against everything else, and even if I get it in against like overpair flush draw, I'm not completely crushed. I still have a large wrap. I mean, I can make a 9 also, so it's like a really big wrap. Um, yeah, I think the turn's pretty much a mandatory barrel.
Okay. I think I just found out how to do something new. I was trying to figure out how to put the hand up while you're also talking, and I think I figured out how to do it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
good work.
I think so. Yeah, sweet. Okay. So next hand here. You can see the hand now, right?
Yeah.
Whoa, I think I fixed something. Yeah, I think I was going to check the live stream, but I think I fixed it. Okay, cool. I figured this out. There was a question someone had in the NVG thread. Have you seen my NVG thread, by the way?
I think I've skimmed it like a little bit. Yeah.
Title of the thread: 2+2 legend Chicago Joey has started doing PLO podcast and podcast with WCG writer. What a name! I didn't even make that name up. Napsis, friend of the podcast, future one-on-one challenger. I think he was drunk and he made up an NVG thread, called me a 2+2 legend, Chicago Joey. I mean, I think I was so honored when he made debatable legend. I guess if you consider a legend to be someone that started posting in the microstakes forum, worked his way up through the forum high society rankings, did a couple prep bets where he played 600,000 hands in a month, 50,000 hands in a day, and 500,000 hands in a month, and then went up to the high stakes and had a very epic run. Maybe that might be a little bit legendary.
I would say legend is not stretching it too far.
Yeah, I thought that was a very cool name, but there were some people in the thread that questioned the legendness of me. And I said, well, I mean,
I mean, it's all about the personality too. I mean,
yeah, when you think about a homegrown 2+2er, if you think about a guy who starts posting up in microstakes forum right now, has anyone moved up from microstakes to the high stakes? Well, yeah, someone's done it. A few people have done it. I've done it. I've been on the 2+2 forum the whole entire time. So I think it's like, my story might be a good story for other people to look at and, get a little inspiration from and realize that, hey, it's possible. Anybody can do it.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I had no point there. Yeah, whatever. Let's get in the hand. So you owe.
You're a legend, bro. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
I'm a legend to a group of men. I'm very excited about that. It's like, yeah, do people know me? Yeah, a bunch of guys know me. If we're homosexual, that'd be great. But unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure, debatable. I'm not, I guess, right now. So
You might have a female listener or two. You never know.
I don't think so. Besides my
Probably
girlfriend,
not.
I bet there's like one
Unlikely.
girl who like stalks me. Because you know how like
Probably.
we need to get this off the screen share for this. But so I know I'm sure for let's see if it switches back here. Okay. Can you talk real quick?
Yeah, right
Oh
here.
shit! What did I do?
Am I not showing up now?
Yeah, I gotta figure out. Oh, I got it back now. Okay. So I'm sure. Do you ever think about this on social media and Facebook and stuff like that? There's like people that you watch. You like watch you look at their pictures and you like watch what they tweet and you're like really interested in what they tweet, but they have no idea that you're interested in them or what they say.
I don't know if there's anybody I'm like that for.
You're a fucking liar. But that's fine. You don't gotta tell anybody. There's people like I'm like that for, okay? Maybe one or two people. But I just think about it. There's probably someone out there. I know. There's a lot of male fans. Maybe you have some male fans. I know I have some male fans that border on the kind of crazy side. But those are my favorite people. I love those people. I get messages from these people. They send me some shit. Some people might consider weird. I consider flattering. So as long as they don't try to kill me, and even if they try to kill me, I lived a good life. I've had fun. It's okay.
It's a very, very glass half full outlook there, Mr. Legend Chicago Joey.
Shut the. You're funny. I mean, like, am I a legend? I don't know, bro. Am I a legend? I might be. I don't know. Do the Kings of
You're a,
Cards.
le- you're a legend in my book. That's what counts.
Do the Kings of Cards voice.
I don't know. I haven't practiced it in forever.
Okay, I'll try it, and then you try your impression. Kings of Cards is an old poker player. He's a very old poker player.
He's not that old.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to say anything mean. But he has a voice, and me and Stinger like to do the voice together. I think I did the voice last week on the podcast too. So basically, he'll be talking about a situation, and I call it like the cool guy voice, because like you're always like too cool for school kind of thing talking about it. So you're like, I mean, yeah, like I played poker last night, and I made 700K, but like I could have made like 3 million, so like it wasn't really a good night, but like it was an okay night. Something like that kind of thing. You cool guys. I, I I try not to do it too much, but sometimes you're like, I mean, yeah, like I live in like a $6,000 a month place, but like it's really not that nice of a place. I mean, the view's terrible and it's not that nice. Do you ever find
Did he
yourself?
actually, did he actually say stuff like that?
I don't know. Betty?
I don't. I've always thought he was a pretty humble guy. I don't know.
I don't know if he's anything like that either. I'm just, just giving you some examples of things. Well, I actually know one thing he said, but I think you told me. No, Brad told me. It might have been you that told me. Do the voice real quick, just for people to see.
Did I ever? I don't even remember ever doing this voice.
Yeah, you might not have done the voice. Maybe me and Brad did the voice all the time. Me and Brad did the voice all the time. We used to do that together all the time when we were in Vancouver.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds more accurate.
Yeah, this podcast is just taking a trip off the rails right now. I'm sorry, guys. If you're listening to this, I think we're like a couple hours in. We're getting off the tracks right now. Where I'm
Yeah, yeah. Let's do the rest of the hands. I'm getting hungry with it, bro.
kid like you getting hungry, huh? All right, let's get into it. All right,
I haven't eaten anything yet today, and I've been up for like 4 hours.
okay. All right, cool. Last couple hands. So this hand, Isildur makes a standard raise pre-flop with King 7-4-5, 7-5 diamonds, about 100 big blinds deep. You call with Queen 9-10-2 with Queen 2 of spades, a pretty loose call.
Nah, that's not a loose call.
Yeah, I know you don't. You never fold. The flop comes 3-4-6, and Isildur, you check. Isildur bets pot. Isildur flops to nuts, and you have nothing. You have a backdoor spade draw. You don't even have a backdoor quad draw, which is really hard to not have. So
Yeah.
Isildur, you check. Isildur bets pot, and you decide to check raise to 21,000. So you bet 6,000. You make it 21,000. Isildur calls. The
I
turn
do.
comes.
I have a deuce blocker. I have a blocker to the bottom straight.
Oh, you do have a blocker to the bottom straight. Okay. The turn comes a jack of spades. You turn a backdoor flush draw, which is the best card in the deck for you. You decide to pop call it off. Isildur obviously has a nuts. So why did you decide to check raise this flop? And do you think the turn bet when you get to the turn this way is always a mandatory, pretty much pop kind of thing?
Yeah, I think the turn bet's mandatory when I get here. I mean, I think I have enough fold equity that it's the best play. Check raising the flop. I mean, I don't think it's the best hand for me to do it with. I think I'd rather see myself have at least like some kind of like backdoor straight draw also, like at least just like an 8-9 or something. But at least I did have a backdoor flush draw, so I had some backdoor equity. But I don't think it's the best hand for my range to take and turn into a bluff here. I think just folding is the play. But that said, I mean, I do think it's a flop that he's probably c betting too wide, and probably has to fold a decent percentage of his flop c betting range. So in a vacuum, it might be a profitable check raise, but I still think I should just wait for a little bit better of a hand to do it with.
Okay. Well, you lost that hand, but you did not lose the war because a couple hands later, a couple minutes later, you're 150 big blinds deep. You open the button with 4-10-8-3 with one suit. I don't need to say the name. I don't need to say the cards that are the suit. I just need to say one suit. So it's 4-10-8-3 one suit. Isildur three bets with King King Queen Nine one suit, and you call with 4-10-8-3. The
Were you
flop
trying to say
comes.
I was making a loose call?
I mean, you're 155 big blinds deep. You don't
I
like
don't, I don't
folding.
think
I know you don't
I
like
don't I
folding.
don't I don't think I could fold anything in
This
position there
hand's
really.
weird though. This hand's weird. So Isildur, the flop's 9-5-3 with three diamonds. You flop a flush, 10 high flush. Isildur has a king block, king high, king flush blocker. He's got pocket king, king king, queen nine with the king of diamonds blocker. Isildur bets pot. You call. The turn brings a king. Isildur turns a set, and he still has the blocker. You still have a flush. Isildur bets pot, and you decide to jam all in for 74,000 more. Like why? What's going on here? What's up with this hand?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that it jammed. I don't know what I think about it. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean I don't like it. It just means I don't know. Um, I mean, I would like to think I just kind of soul read him and just thought that he had a set based on his bet sizing, and that I wanted to make sure all that money got in against the set.
Did you
Um,
see that? Did you have a capabilities? Did you have a love to play program that would let you see the cards by any chance with this hand?
unfortunately, no.
Okay.
But I think the pot bet sizing is a little bit suspicious. Although even though he was just potting like everything, I mean, it's just like he's like clearly trying to put me to a decision for all my chips on the turn. Whereas I feel like if he had what he's trying to represent, he would be trying to milk it a little bit more. But maybe that's off. Maybe he was just potting no matter what at this point in the match. Um,
This is very late in the match where you're getting close to wrapping it up. So
yeah.
yeah, I just thought
Uh,
the turn shove was obviously a pretty interesting because in a spot like this, normally you kind of you figure if you bet call here, you're only getting called by better, and you're folding out all worse, and you take away his opportunity to bluff the river if you chose to. So I thought it was pretty interesting that you did decide to shove with this hand here.
I would say there's also some smaller flushes in his range too.
That's what I
So
mean. I was thinking about that as well. I guess does that outweigh the times that he is going to barrel off, or I guess the times he calls
yeah,
better.
I guess I probably thought he wasn't gonna barrel it off too much on the river. I guess.
Well, I think that does matter if you think he's going to shut down here.
Yeah, because I mean, once he pots the turn, he's only leaving like less than a pot size bet or less than a half pot size bet left on the river rather. So it's pretty hard for him to keep continuing.
Yeah, he's crazy though. At this point in time, I think he who knows what he would have done. He probably would have, I mean, he would probably would have bet the river with this set because he probably just would have. So.
Yeah, I don't know what he would have done, but
Yeah. Well, we got one more hand here, and I thought this was an interesting hand as well because you once again make a turn shove that is questionable. So Isildur opens 4-4-2-6. You're $195,000 deep here. You three bet with Ace Jack 10-10 with one suit. and Isildur goes ahead and defends. The flop comes 6-6-2. Isildur flops full house. He's got 6-2-4-4, and you have a backdoor flush draw and an overpair. So you have ace jack 10-10. The board 6-6-2. You decide to not c-bet here. You check. Isildur pots, and you call. The turn brings a 7 of clubs, not changing anything. Isildur still has a full house. You still have an overpair. You decide to check again. Isildur pots, and you decide to check jam all in for $114,000 more over his bet. What's happening here?
I think I think on the turn I'm just trying to protect my hand. Again, I mean, I think the pot size bet is really nice there. It puts me in kind of an awkward stack spot where if I call, I have like 2/3 pot left on the river, and I don't know. It just leaves stacks a little bit awkward, and I think there are a number of straight draws that the turn brings, and I think I wanted to like protect slash make him pay to draw by calling there. But yeah, it's a tough spot with those stack sizes for sure, and I think in 2014 I'd probably be more likely to just call the turn and then either call any river or maybe fold a few rivers, but um, yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of these plays that I made back then, I mean, they're definitely because of like the awkward stack sizes, but I still think they're not necessarily the best.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brian, let me show you the graph, how some of these plays made you go once more. Isildur's graph here. Let's just look at this graph again one more time. So this is a graph showing Isildur losing $4.2 million to you over a couple hour sample.
Also, I think one thing to keep in mind with all these hands, it's a lot easier to analyze them right now than it is in real time while you're playing 6 tables of heads up. At that time, like I really have like a couple seconds to make all these decisions. So, and I guess one argument would be that a decision like shoving the turn there instead of calling is it makes the hand easier to play, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't really a great argument in general for playing hands, but playing a 6 tabling heads up match, I mean, making it just making a hand easier to play like does have a little bit of merit actually.
Well, Brian, I'm gonna let you eat now. I thank you for joining me on the podcast this week. I've much enjoyed talking to you. I'm
Yeah,
sure I'm
much
sure that
I enjoyed
people
it a lot too.
I'm sure people have enjoyed hearing you go over some hands, talk about the session from back in the day. Obviously, it's one of the most famous online sessions that'll ever exist. And I had some talking points down, but I pretty much nailed most of the talking points. I think, yeah, I think we're good here.
See, that's what makes you a legend. I mean, if you weren't a legend, you wouldn't have nailed them all.
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna say I'm a legend, but
I mean,
I did some
there's
cool
definitely
shit in my time. You know, right now I might do some cool shit again in the future. We'll see what happens.
yeah. I'm sure you will, bro. I mean,
But
you got the podcast going strong. You're on iTunes, all big time.
I'm gonna be
Could be
doing
the most popular poker podcast going. You
I'm gonna
never
be
know.
doing a prop bet very soon where that no one else is gonna be able to do. Teaser, maybe I might do something. We'll see.
This isn't just a basketball heads up PLO prop bet.
No, this is more exciting than that. This will be exciting.
Good.
Be exciting. I want to do the Ubru prep bet, the 450,000 hand in 45 days or 500,000 hands in 45 days and make a profit, but I don't know. We'll see about that.
Well, if there's anybody who can do it, it's probably you.
Yeah, I don't think so. Let's not tell people that. Let's tell people I can't do it. So, all right, Brian, thanks for joining me on the podcast. You guys, if you listened to it, if you made it this far, 2 hours and I think 45 minutes in, thank you very much for listening. You know, obviously, I always appreciate anyone that can make it to the end. You know, hopefully you enjoyed listening to Brian talk. And if you want to follow Brian on Twitter, you can just Google Brian Hastings Twitter. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at JoinGrim1. I'll be, you know, obviously I post all my podcasts on Twitter. If you want to subscribe to YouTube, go ahead. On iTunes, links in the description, or just search for Chicago Joey, all one word, and the podcast will be there. I don't have anything else to say right now. I just know that I need to go to the bathroom. I don't want to use the pee bottle on camera, and I want to eat some food. I want to use the people. I gotta go bad right now. I want to pull them. But I won't do it. It's okay. The P jug's there. I won't do it. So, all right, Ryan. Thank you, buddy.
All right. All
Talk to
right.
you.
Take,
Talk to you
take
soon. I'll
care,
see you
Joe.
in a couple. See you in next month in Vegas.
Yes, sir.
Do some live. We'll do a little live content.
We could
Live
swing that.
radio. But we'll do a behind the scenes, me and you dancing at a nightclub.
Ah, there we go. That's
Yeah.
what. Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they need. Hey! I'm stole that. All right, dude. I'll see you soon.
All right. See ya.
Bye bye.